Dirt roads to rock crawling, two-buck chuck to screaming eagle, moonshine to 50-year-old single malt. We talk about it all here on Wheelin' Wine and Whiskey with your hosts, Jason and Chris.
Welcome to the Wheeling Wine and Whiskey Podcast, episode 297. Woo! How you doing, Chris? Were you telling me great. I was number one or what?
Yeah, right.
We're recording remotely here. You're back in California.
Hey, it's not
liverwurst.
Bad. The weather is fantastic. It's it peaked at 70 today, 70 degrees, and the sun is shining. The grass is growing. The angels are singing. It's all good. It's yeah. And today is the beginning of my weekend, so I'm excited.
It's nice, huh? It's nice. Well, welcome to the weekend. Yeah, we had a beautiful day here in Northern Nevada. It was the sweatshirt came off early today. It was I think we were balmy like 62 or something, 60 or 62 maybe. But it warmed up nice this afternoon. But that sun's going behind the mountain now, so it's starting to cool back down. But yeah, it's supposed to be nice weather, unfortunately, because it's February.
Yep, for another week.
We need more winter before we get into spring and summer.
Well, what did the groundhog say?
He said more winter.
6 more weeks?
I mean, that's a very scientific method. If the
fuck yeah, it is. Right? I actually watched the movie Groundhog Day the other day on TV, and I was like, that's a classic. Bill Murray, and you kidding me?
Yeah, and then we've got a in-house guest, the artist formerly known as Samurai James is here. How you doing?
Doing great. Thanks for having me.
It's been a minute that you've been on the podcast, I think. Been a while. But yeah, you haven't changed your name yet since you got your buggy, huh?
Yeah. Unfortunately, I think, or fortunately, I should say, I definitely branded as Samurai James and still got the samurais in my heart. So I guess I'm going to have to keep it.
All right. There you go. Fair enough.
Don't you have a Samurai RC car or something too?
I do. And we took a deep dive with those at King of the Hammer. So
oh my God.
It's going to have to make a comeback.
So yeah, James is here, and we're going to do a KOH recap. We haven't done our recap yet.
A world famous KOH recap from Wheeling Wine and Whiskey.
Chris and I banged out some great interviews on the lakebed, and that's what you've been listening to in your ear holes this past couple weeks.
Yeah,
we got another episode coming up that we recorded on the lakebed. After this one, 298. Oh no, it'll be 299 because 298 is going to be a special episode that we're about to record in 24 hours. So, anyways, so let's dive right in, boys. But before we do that, you got any business on your end, Chris, that we need to cover?
I do not right now. I'm trying
because we got a lot to cover.
I know we have a lot to cover, but I do as a tease. I want to get back on track with, doing anniversaries for our supporters of the show. I really do, and I've spent a little bit of time trying to compile who's the longest term supporter of the show, and I believe I figured some of these out. So,
really?
When we transitioned from Patreon to PayPal, a lot of the information got muddled. So I'm trying to piece it all back together in my spare time. So that's something that's going to be some important business coming up in the future, because we need to continue to recognize and appreciate our supporters of the show, because they are the ones that allow us that help us, continue to pay for the back end.
Absolutely. And there's a lot of money on the back end.
There is a lot of money,
especially now that we're an official business. Tax time.
That's right.
Damn
tax time is upon us. So anyway, that's something to look forward to for our listeners there.
Cool. Okay. That's cool. I'm excited to hear that. So, I got shipped a care package before KOH, days before I left, from Billy Herbert. You know Bill
Yeah.
Herbert, right?
I do. Yeah,
Chris?
I know Bill.
He was my roommate down at Cal Poly San Luis Obispo.
He was
Not
my
to be
intern out
mistaken with the other Cal Poly. What was that?
He interned for me at one of the golf courses I worked at in my past.
Oh, that's right. Wow. So he actually worked for you.
Well, he worked with me. Well, I guess he did work for me. I was his direct supervisor. So
well, there you go. How was he as an employee?
I wouldn't have hired him.
Nice.
No, he was great. He was great. He handled a hose for a while, and then we moved him up to equipment and stuff. So he did well.
Water boy.
That's
cool. No, Bill's a great guy.
H2O.
I wish quality H2O. Yeah, it's man, it seems like yesterday I was in college. No, that was a long time ago. But we had some good times. Good golfer, not as good as me, but he was a good golfer. Yeah, we had a ton of fun together. But he's still living down there in central-ish, right? Santa Barbara area.
Yeah.
The Barb, we call it. Beautiful part of California there.
Coastal.
Yeah, by the coast. So, anyways, back in 2023, he started making beef jerky. And he's telling me all about it. And I'm like, yeah, sounds great. I'd love to try some. So finally, in 2025, 2 years later, Bill finally sends me a care package. And he says, hey, I'm going to make some. He makes all these different flavors. He goes, I'm going to send you some flavors. You bring it to King of the Hammers, pass it out, try it out, talk about it on the podcast. And I'm like, yeah, absolutely. Well, you and I it's just busy at Hammers.
Oh, yeah. No,
and then I'm sitting there thinking,
go.
Tasting whiskey, that's kind of podcast radio friendly because you're not chewing your curd, especially like chewing on beef jerky. So I go, this ain't going to be good. So
I don't know. I've chewed on a few wines and whiskeys before. So.
That's right. So James, Chris, and I, before the podcast started, before we started recording, we tasted them all. We did a taste test. We wrote down our notes. We have not shared our notes with each other yet. So that's what we're going to do right now. So it's called Third Step Jerky Company. I'll get some I know he has we'll put it in the show notes, Chris. He has an Instagram page, Third Step Jerky. So you can look that up. It's, how should I say? This is a cottage industry thing. This isn't a commercial, he's not selling this commercially or licensed or anything. But if you want to try some of this jerky, you can either get a hold of us or go to Third Step Jerky Company on IG, the gram, and check it out. So without further ado, let's just dive right in, boys. So the first one we tried, flavor, was Carolina barbecue. James, what'd you think of that Carolina barbecue jerky?
It was pretty decent. A little dry at first, but the flavor was pretty light, but it was great overall. Okay.
Chris?
Yeah, I'd agree. I think it was definitely a lighter, like a Sauvignon Blanc of jerkies, But I also felt like it was tangy and a little bit of a vinegar note to it. Which to some people that might be a little off-putting, but I like the vinegar, hint of vinegar, if you will. It was also interestingly, it was mildly sweet. I kind of felt like
I'm laughing because I wrote sweet tangy. That was my
that's funny.
So we're on the same page there.
And then the final thing is, we've all had jerky from various wherevers. I've had homemade jerky from a bunch of friends and acquaintances, and of course the store-bought stuff. And some of that stuff can be extremely dry and like really difficult to gnaw on, and some can be like way too moist and just not done enough. I felt like this was like just right. It was like
the right consistency. Okay,
exactly. Yeah, the good chew. It was a good chew.
A good chew. It is a chew. It's a little bit drier. I tend to like the moister jerkies personally. So this was a little drier than my liking of finish, but it's freaking awesome. The flavor's there, and you just gotta you work on it, man. while you're watching the baseball game or whatever.
Good exercise for your jaw.
Yeah, it is. Okay. So we all like that. That was good. Sweet, tangy. The next one, which I was really excited to try, was pepperoncini.
Yeah, the pepperoncini was great. The flavor was pretty strong and consistent. It definitely made its presence known. I wouldn't say it was kicking in the front door, but it was definitely there.
Made its presence known. Hello, I'm here.
So yeah, I definitely. I think that's my favorite one of the group for sure. Number one favorite.
Oh, wow, I was going to ask you which one was your favorite. You already told us, so there you go. All right, Chris, what's your take on the pepperoncini?
Okay, and I felt like that one's tangy also, but it had a higher salt flavor to it. Some people get makers of jerky can get pretty crazy with the salt, and it's overpowering to some degree. And I mean, there was some salt in this one that was more noticeable than the Carolina, but it was fine. It was good. Mildly peppery. And again, I felt like the consistency on the chew was good too. So this was I'm not going to say it's my favorite, but it was definitely good.
Okay, I liked it. I love it had that vinegar punch, and like James said, it made its presence known. And you could definitely. I mean, I was like, I kind of wish I didn't know if we did it blind, right? But I would pick out the pepperoncini. I would hope it was very apparent that was pepperoncini flavored.
Definitely would agree with that.
Okay, all right, and then the third and final one here is the spicy Bloody Mary. So he was telling me about this one, and we all like a good Bloody Mary. So I was like, this is intriguing because I never heard of spicy Bloody Mary jerky before. But what do you think of that one, James?
I liked it. I'm big on the Bloody Mary bandwagon, so it starts out very light, kind of like the Carolina, and then it progressively gets stronger and stronger the more you have. By my second piece, it was definitely in your face, but who doesn't love a good Bloody Mary?
There you go. Chris?
I'm going to just start out. This was my favorite one. I would love Bloody Marys. I love a spicy Bloody Mary. And I like spicy food. Sometimes it doesn't like me, but I like spicy food. So I like the pepper. I like the kick. It was definitely louder than the other two as far as its flavor profile. It had a little bit of heat, which I liked. That coming from the pepper and the spice. And again, I really liked the texture of the mouthfeel, if you will, the easy chew. There's a little bit of work you put into it, but not. It's about right. I like
good consistency for you.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. No, definitely. I got the tomatoes right out of the gate. It reminded me of like a michelada kind of too. I mean, it was the spice. There was that kind of, I don't know, that spice that they put in the micheladas. But the heat, it was unapologetic there. As the more you chewed that sucker, it was right there in your face. And I'm not a big fan of high heat. I like a little heat. Let you know that it's there. I wouldn't say it was on my threshold, but it was knocking at the door for sure. Of like, wow, it was like, wow, that got my attention. So pretty damn good. I liked it. My number one is the pepperoncini.
Okay,
I like the pepperoncini, and I would have chose the spicy Bloody Mary if it wasn't as spicy. I think that's what just the pepperoncini had that vinegar punch to it that I like. My personal preference.
Nice.
So, yeah, we know James. James liked the pepperoncini as well. So that's 2 for the pepperoncini, 1 for the spicy Bloody Mary. I'd say 1.5 because I would lean towards the spicy Bloody Mary too, if I can throw a half vote in there.
They're all very good, and again, I like the moisture content, and the chewability of it. I think it's right. It's in the it's like the Three Bears, right? It's just right.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, and I mean, I'm impressed with his packaging here. I mean, it's like professionally sealed. I don't know how he does this, and he's got his Third Step Jerky logo and a sticker on the front there. And yeah, fresh, local, natural, and small batch. So yeah, if you're interested in trying some, hit us up. Hit up Third Step Jerky. Tell them that Wheeling Wine and Whiskey sent you, and Bill will hook you up. He actually, now I didn't try these at Hammers, but he makes dog jerky treats as well. I gave him to Pete for his senior wiener dog, his senior wiener. Was 16 or 17 years old. His Sierra is his wiener dog, and the poor girl is blind and deaf. But she'd get out in the morning and do her little jog around the camp and wandering around. And one morning she got lost. She got under the gate somehow, the fence, and got into Upper Hammertown Heights. But
oh boy,
yeah. Anyways, she ate it.
Fell into the rock pile on the RC car trail.
Yeah, exactly. So Sierra got those special dog treats, but it's all natural stuff and good for the dogs. So yeah, he's just a little side gig, little side hustle for him. So well, that's good. No, I'm glad we tried it that way instead of you guys, the listeners and gals listening to us chew away.
Yeah, definitely.
So there you go. All right. Well, without further ado, let's recap this shit show that they call KOH.
Hammers. Fucking Boone Road. I love Boone Road.
Boone Road. You're so excited after, I mean, for us, our long drive, it's 8-9 hours, whatever. It's not a huge deal from these people coming from the East Coast that take, 3, 4, 5 days. Pam Hall driving her motorhome, towing the truck, in a snowstorm. The Raptor in the snowstorm, flat towing it. I'm just sitting there going, man, we got it good, man. I got to deal with a little bit of snow and ice in Mammoth, but nothing like miles and literal states of it. These people are coming from Canada, the people that are flying in from Australia,
all over the world.
I mean, it's crazy, right? It's just anyways.
Well, it's a big deal. I mean, you think about what King of the Hammers was in the early days versus what it is today, and then you think about the pandemic year when there was half the number of people on the lake bed. I mean, we've been going for quite a few years now, and to see, our we're going to relay all of our experiences from this past week or the past Hammers. But yeah, it's insane, and it's so much fun, and it's overwhelming. It's a lot of people say it's the Burning Man of off-roading, and it really is. So
yeah, it's all that and more. I got to give a shout out to Dolly Hannah, Amber's mom, Sarah's mom, Gavin's mom, Stuart's mom. That she was down there, at least 6 weeks before Hammer started.
Oh yeah.
And her and Eric, established the dominance over Stonehenge, affectionately called Stonehenge, but we call it Hammertown Heights Estates. And boy, our campus just grows every year. And I didn't measure it off, but looking from the top of my camper, it's safe to say we had at least 5.5, 6 acres roped off.
Oh, it's possible. It was a lot of space, and I didn't even walk up to the upper portion.
I didn't either.
I didn't get past Matt's camp. I went up there once, and it was just, I'm not walking the rest of the way. I'm done.
That's as far as I got. Also, I mean, it was crazy. So appreciate her getting that, and then Matt brings, Popoville, the Burning Man Popoville building.
That's right.
So this wooden structure, and it takes an army to put it up, and 3, 4, 5 hours, and then same thing to tear it down and put it back on the trailer. So it's no small feat, and appreciate Matt hauling that and getting that set up for us, because that's a nice place to have our camp kitchen.
Absolutely. No, it's definitely a cool central location for the camp too. It's like a meeting hall. So
It is. It is. It's the town hall,
it's the town hall and the town kitchen.
state capitol, all that stuff. Yeah. So anyways, I arrived Tuesday and followed my neighbor here in Minden, Alan, down. So that worked out really well. It's nice having another rig with you to head on down the highway when you're traveling. And we flat footed it. We left here in the afternoon, and it took a little over 8 hours, and got there about 10 o'clock at night. So that was really, really good. And then the next day, I got our camp set up. So I said, hey, you know what? I'm just going to spend the next day, Wednesday, just casually figuring out our camp. And you got the trailer, enclosed trailer / bar set up. And saved a spot for you, James, and Pete was already there.
Good.
Had him turn around his motorhome so his door was facing the right way. And then Dave Ainsworth rolled in, and then the camp just kept growing from there. And, we had a few people come and go, but it was awesome. We had our own little circle of friends there.
Sub camp in the big camp.
Exactly. So, so that was Tuesday. And then, you guys weren't there yet. So then Wednesday, so that setup day, Pete and his wife, Lynn, were there. And he goes, hey, what are you doing for dinner? And I said, I don't know. I got a bunch of different things to do. He goes, well, we got an extra steak. We got some potatoes. And I'm like, all right, I'm over. So went over there, brought a bottle of wine, and ate in his Taj Mahal Super C.
Nice motorhome.
Yeah. The only bad thing about it is the Dodge, but it's a badass 4-wheel drive.
That's the best thing about it.
6-wheel drive, I guess it is, because it's got dually rear. Go ahead, say what you want, guys. I got 2 freaking Dodge guys at this podcast. But the great thing about that is there's a front tow hook that's damn near straight from James yanking him out at Sand Hollow a couple years ago. And he's leaving it on there just for the reminder.
Wow. Yeah, instead of worrying about the ball at the back where you rack your shin, it'll take your leg off up front.
Yeah. So then Thursday, I brought the Can-Am this year. I talked about it before. The buggy needs tires. They're completely bald, and it needed some fuel line work and stuff. And I ran it hard this summer, and I did very little maintenance. But it ran great. It was awesome. But I'm like, I want to take the Can-Am down to Hammers. I had it there last year. Jason hauled it down for me. He had room on his rig, so that was cool to have both vehicles there. But just the Can-Am this year, and I put 35 stickies on it, these Maxxis tires, and I got 21 inches of ground clearance on the skid plate. I'm like, okay, we're going to do some rock crawling in this thing. And it is the Can-Am RC, so it's designed for the rocks. It's got the skid plates and everything, winch and yada, yada. So I did some clutching, 35s. So we go over, Pete had his Can-Am, so Pete and his wife and I headed over to Turkey Claw in there. And Dave Ainsworth was there by then. And so he had his, badass 4-steer buggy.
Yeah.
So I'm following Pete up Turkey Claw and do, and it's just different rock crawling in that thing. And there's that big boulder at the beginning of the trail, when you first kind of get in there and you go to the
on the right or the right or left side.
Right. So he goes to the right, which is the easier side, and gets around the rock and gives it a little gas and snap rear axle brakes.
Whoops.
And he didn't even get on it hard. So it must have been cracked or compromised prior to us getting in there. So he goes, oh, no problem. I'll just head back to camp because it's right by camp. I'll get it fixed. I'll be back, half an hour, 45 minutes. And we're like, no, we'll all go back. So we all go back. Well, that axle turned into a whole afternoon of working on the rig because it did not want to come out. the hub didn't want to come off. When the hub finally came off, it took the bearing with it, half the bearing with it. So then we needed a bearing and an axle. And he's good friends with Craig Stump that owns UTV. No, what's it called? Something UTV. Anyways, so he goes, yeah, I'll ship the stuff over to the old, Wheeler's ship and stop or sip and ship and stop or whatever it is. Wheeler's
out there on Old Woman Springs Road there.
And they get thousands of packages a week of the hammers. And I go, dude, let's go take a hike into Hammertown. I mean, it's early. This is the Thursday before the trophy trucks,
Yeah.
And so sure enough, Super UTV was there and the semi truck was there. Door was open. Canopy was out, but nothing was set up. Hey, you guys got an axle for a Can-Am and a bearing? Yeah, we got it. I'm like, geez, this is great. So we were able to pick up the axle and that and put it all back together, and he was good to go. But it did take it was a fun afternoon wrenching on that thing. I'm glad it was him and not me.
Right. Well, he's a trooper too. I mean, it's not his only side. Well, his other. How many rigs does he have? I know I've seen the single seat.
I lost count.
But he goes out there to play, and he plays hard, and he
plays
brings
hard.
his shit, and he knows how to wrench on his stuff. So it's those are the kind of people you want to surround yourself
I
with.
was impressed with his tools that he had in his truck. I mean, he had some impressive freaking pry bars, and he had everything. He had all the electric Ugga wrenches, and he was set. So I was like, okay, because I'm like, hey, I'll bring my tool. No, I got everything, and I'm like, yeah, you do.
Well,
I had a couple
interesting
extra pry
too
bars.
to think that he was kind of handicapped because he didn't have his trailer. He had
right.
Which you look inside his trailer, and it's like a workshop too.
Yeah, yeah. So, and he's running 37s on that bad boy.
Right.
So it's, he's had every type of side-by-side no demand. And then he's got, had rock buggies, has a rock buggy. And yeah, he's got the toys too. And he knows how to work on them. So that's cool. So we had a good time, doing that. And then, so Friday, when did you roll into camp, James?
I think I rolled in Friday. Yeah.
Was it that? Yeah.
Friday afternoon-ish.
Yeah. And so you're right around the same time as Chris?
No, I got there like 9 o'clock or 10 o'clock at night.
That's right.
And James was already set up, and I popped in next to him, and I got the party rolling. But I will say that, you guys, my son did, I drove about half the mileage down, and I had my son Craig, my oldest kid, with me, and he did the drive from I don't even know where. Oh, from the Loves in Boron all the way to the gate, and it was so funny to see. He drove on Boone Road from Old Woman Springs Road to the gate, and man, he was just bombing that goddamn thing. I'm like, dude, slow the fuck down.
He was getting after it, but
oh my god,
Dodge. That's what it does.
Well, I know. I'm like, dude, it was pretty rough. I mean, it wasn't actually the section of Boone Road from the highway, if you will, to the gate was. I mean, it's a couple spots was pretty rough, but it was like he had to slow down a little bit. But when we got to the gate, when we got our wristbands and everything like that, I had him. I switched places with him so I could drive from the gate to camp. And I will say that section of Boone Road from the gate, just past the 40 to the turnoff at gate 1, was brutal. That section of road was absolutely brutal.
It was not fun.
The days,
and I wasn't.
Yeah, speeding up where they were leaving, it was just absolutely gridlocked in that spot.
So, but we pulled into camp probably just before 10 p.m. or 9:30, 10 p.m. and got settled in a little bit, ate a little bit of food, and then I went to bed because I was fried.
Yeah. So I I kind of hung out in camp a little bit, and then went into Hammertown. We had a few guests roll into camp. Aaron Smith from Smith Off Road,
Mm-hmm.
and yeah, it was good to see him. And then Black Eddie came in and his bomber, his what's he call it, the budget bomber or something, junkyard bomber. Hey, he's all, don't look too close, and Dave Ainsworth and I are like looking at stuff, and Dave's starting to point at stuff. I go, don't do it, Dave. I go, and he's all, stop it, man. And I go, hey, I said, to your credit, I guarantee you have more off-road miles than probably 10 of us in this camp combined. I mean, every time I go out on a trail, there's Eddie in the bomber. So, and sometimes he's broken, but he gets it fixed and back to camp. So anyways, he's a ton of fun. We always have a good time. And then Miles was posting all the pictures of Eddie at, the Dave Cole compound asleep.
Oh,
I think he was faking
that's
it all
right.
the time, but I think it's kind of a running joke now.
Well, you got to sleep at some point.
Mm-hmm. Oh, so then we ended up going to we were hanging out with the Wicks and stuff, and Ozzy, Justin, and
that's when I showed up, and I made Eric move his buggy, because he had his trail buggy. With
oh, that's right, yeah. We were
Justin
BSing in
Kelly.
camp, right? Yeah, and then you came in.
So
we went to the Maxis hospitality night, if you will, and La Bufadora taco truck was catering the event.
Oh,
so the Wicks family racing there, or at least Justin Wicks is sponsored by Maxis.
That's right.
So he's going, and they're all, yeah, come on over and stuff, and then we're like, oh, tickets required, and then we were just kind of hanging out, and okay, who needs a ticket, and we just grabbed tickets, and I thought, oh, they're just going to give us a couple tacos or something. Dude, it was a full-on taco plate. 3 tacos and rice and beans.
What kind of meat?
And those amazing peppers, man. Those things were so good.
Oh, yeah. Then they had like these, grilled peppers or something, big-ass pepper, but it wasn't like super spicy.
No.
It had some kind of seasoning on it.
Amazing flavor.
It
what
was
were the
really
meats?
good.
Did they have a selection of meats or just one?
Yes. So you had fish, you had your carne asada, you had your pastor, right?
El Pastor, yep.
And then there was a fourth one, because those were the 3 tacos that I got.
Lengua?
Oh, there was chicken.
Cabeza?
No, it's not all crazy. deep Mexico. This was white man's Mexico.
So pollo, carne asada, pescado, and
the El Pastor.
So pork.
And
you had all the food groups right there.
And they were street tacos kicked up a notch. I mean, they were really good. So, definitely one of the best food vendors out there on the lakebed that week.
Nice.
But that was great. Yeah, it was. So shout out to Maxis. Thanks for the tacos. We ended up heading back to camp and eating in my trailer / bar. So that it got out of it was a little chilly that night. So yeah, and then I just kind of kicked back at camp, but somebody went out wheeling.
Eric came up. Eric Wick.
Night
run. He goes, and I'm like, just got in, barely got the buggy off the trailer, and
like that stopped you before.
Yeah, exactly. I'm awake.
Yeah, you've been in bed and sleeping in a tent with in your pajamas, and you've jumped out and gone wheeling.
That's true.
That's true. So yeah, Eric didn't have to twist my arm very hard, and of course Horton's always game on. So we went to Turkey Claw, and it started to get pretty packed there. But when you're following Eric Wicks, man, that guy knows how to make a hole. And we just happened to jam through about 6-7 rigs right in the left side line. So that was super cool. Went up most of the way of Turkey Claw, and I thought we went through kind of quick, and I was right, because we went up the steep hill, and I thought that was the hill at the end exit. Well, we get up to the top of that hill, and that was not the normal exit. We ended up dropping off the side of the face there, and we
Oof.
probably had, Volkswagen sized rocks that were rolling under us, and we're dropping down this hill. It's dark, you can't see anything, and I was waiting to roll a rock on the wicks, and Horton was waiting to roll a rock onto me, and it was pretty crazy. Got to the bottom, and I was like, hey, that wasn't the normal exit, was it? And he's like, nah, I'm pretty sure we just broke that trail. So never a dull time when you go out with Eric and Horton.
So Eric needs to name it. He broke it. He needs to name it.
Yeah.
That's right. So yeah, then that was good enough for me. So we all went back to camp, and then him and Horton decided to go make a couple laps on Chocolate Thunder, and then they called it a night. It was a pretty good night. Oh, except for he did break his lost the transmission on the bomber that night.
That's right.
Had 3 neutrals.
Yeah,
3 or 4 neutrals.
That's the same bomber that he rolled over with me in the passenger
with you,
seat, right?
Yeah. You're intimately familiar with that bomber.
Oh yeah, no doubt. And the oil transmission dipstick. Yeah,
that's right. Yeah, that's a good time. I'm sorry I didn't take a right seat on that trip, or not. Yeah, I am.
You're probably not sorry. You shouldn't be sorry.
Yeah, it was a good time though. It was really fun, and it really kicked off Hammers with a bang. So
yeah, welcome to Hammers Night Run. Okay, so then Saturday.
What? Oh yeah, Saturday. Right.
Saturday. So the talk the night before was heading out to Spooners and Outer Limits, and with the DF Fab crew there.
Anthony had was it 3 other rigs who just got built. Hammers was actually their first real shakedown run that was on some legit rock trails.
I thought a couple of them were at Trail Hero.
Really?
Yeah. I thought that was their first shakedown run, but I may be mistaken. Maybe it was just one guy that was at Trail Hero, but one of them was at Trail Hero for sure.
Paul and the other guy, I can't think of the name right now. He had the green one, I believe.
I gave you the names.
I know you did, and I screwed it all up here.
Yeah. This is professional podcasting. Come on. Justin,
that's right. So I don't think they had their buggies out on major rock trails yet at that point. So they got baptized by fire.
Yeah. I mean, very capable buggies, right? But it comes down to the driver, and it was cool. I was sitting there riding with James, and we get out to Spooners, and we went down Spooners, and that's a good rock trail. And I'm telling James, I go, man, this has got to be it's a good rock trail. So I was telling James, I go, man, that's got to be cool for Anthony. He's in one of his cars he built, his rental now, 2-seater, and then he's got 3 other cars out there with him, right?
Yeah.
And prior, and then these other 2 guys, Justin and Paul. And they were just like kids in a candy store, And then I go up the first obstacle we came to, and Anthony was out of his rig, and I go, dude, this is cool. You got your rigs out here, and you're out wheeling the hammers with them, and all that. And I go, but the bad thing is, if they break, you're the first one to go have to work on them, right? But didn't break; they were fine. So we headed down. Spooners pretty much without incident, right? We didn't have any issues.
Spooners went very smooth, and then same with going up Outer Limits.
Well, you went very smooth. They did not go very smooth. They got hung up on a few obstacles there that took a little while, and it's definitely driver error. It was not the vehicle, because we got through pretty easily. And so did Anthony with the same vehicle. So, but it was fun. I mean, they learned they had to stack some rocks. They got so high centered and shit. But it was.
Were those rigs? Were you the only drag axle? All the other rigs were 4-wheel steer, or what?
Prior's a drag axle.
Yeah, everybody I think is a drag axle
except for Anthony. Yeah, and Dave.
Oh.
Dave was with us.
and Dave. Yeah,
Dave Ainsworth was with us, and Horton was with us, who's just finished up his 4-link setup on his rig.
actually, Dave Ainsworth was not. With
Oh,
us.
you're right. You're right.
He
Dave
was-
did not join us at that point. I scratched that. Dave wish he had joined us. He was back at camp, shock tuning and stuff with Josh
That's right.
in the old Randy's original Legends class car, the first Legends class car he raced. And Josh has owned that car now for 5 years or something.
More than that.
Yeah.
I'd go with 7 or 8.
Yeah. So then we got up Outer Limits, and you're out there. That's why it's called Outer Limits. And so you start working your way back to camp, and Mr. Onyx Horton says, "You want to do hell to pay?" And I'm like, "Fuck, I don't care. I'm a passenger. I can walk back to camp. I got no issues here." So, and so we found it on Onyx. Was great. It's gotten so much better out there, so much more mapping. And when they released the course maps, they were there, laps 1 and 2, not lap 3, the mysterious lap 3. But that was great because when you're out wreck wheeling, it was nice to know where the race course was and how close you were to it, and so on and so forth. So and to stay off of it. So that was great. So we go over to Hell to Pay, and let's see. We were leading, right?
Yeah, we were leading.
James and I.
I was having a tough time. Honest kept us going in the right direction, but there was not hardly any tire tracks on that trail at all.
It wasn't a well-defined trail to get to until you get to the rocks, and then it really wasn't well-defined other than it was a fucking canyon, and you had very few options of where to go.
I'm really glad we dropped that one, but keep in mind, once you get past that top section, I mean, you are committed. There is no going back at that point.
Yeah, you dropped the first couple. Oh hell, I'll just call them waterfalls because that's what they were.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're going forward. You're not going backward at that point without some serious freaking winching.
Is this the trail that some people were winched down?
Yes,
Correct.
Yes. So we had to winch Horton down in a few spots because he's got that 4Runner. It's tall and it's just wicked, man. And it was safety to just keep him from rolling over. As it was, James got his rear tires in the air at one point, I heard.
Yeah, I believe it was the third waterfall down, I'm going to just call it. Pretty much every time you came up to a drop, you had to climb up and over the boulders and then drop.
Mm-hmm.
So, and there really was not any run out room, so to speak. So, I really wasn't scouting ahead. We were just Anthony and I. At that point, we kind of broke away because Jason was up top giving Horton help.
I was helping Horton
Get down and pretty much organizing the winching to get him down, and so we kind of would drop the next section ahead of him so we could have it figured out if we needed to winch Horton down that one. And I dropped this one. I was not anticipating how kind of an undercut that it had when you dropped it. And my wheelbase is a 113 on the buggy. And I ended up basically pogoing the buggy. Both of my rear tires were off about 5 to 6 feet. And it just kind of bounced there for a second.
Medusa.
I believe there's a good video of it.
Exactly. Medusa-esque. Medusa-esque.
And, I kind of looked down and just, was like, oh, don't move. And, then I take a look at my gauges and I was just watching my oil pressure fall. And I was like, oh, God, got to do something. So, I took a quick, just mental picture in my head, and my right front was in a hole. And it was kind of at the point where it was either going to climb or it might flip you if it digs in. And luckily, I was able to just give it a little bit of throttle input, and she climbed right out of the hole. But man, that was crazy.
I was outside of the vehicle at that point watching it, and I go, oh fuck, this is getting real spicy. And so my my right seat passenger hat quickly changed to survival hat of like, okay, it's late afternoon. We've got some inexperienced drivers behind us. We've got Horton, who's a very experienced driver, but on a crazy hard trail for a forerunner on 40s with a
Full body vehicle.
Yeah, I mean, but he's super capable driver. He was working this side hill, and he's like, "What do you think?" And I'm like, I don't like it, man, but you feel it out, And he was feeling it out, and he stayed calm, and level headed, and he's like, "No, we're," And then I started looking at winch points, like there was this rock outcropping that probably would have held, but maybe not. I don't know. It looked pretty solid, but you never know till you get weight on some of these rocks whether they're going to move or not.
Was it a Roadrunner and Coyote
exactly
winch point, or was
exactly? And then I'm like, dude, I know you don't want to, but that waterfall, you got to drop that waterfall that James just dropped, because I think we can lower you down safely, where if you roll in this section, it's going to be a long recovery. And last time I checked, none of us have helicopters to haul shit out, Chinooks like Von Gittin had. Anyways, so I'm like, okay, let's make some educated decisions here. So we did. Unfortunately, I'd say about a third of the way down, Horton got wedged in an undercut with his passenger front tire, and it popped a front axle U-joint cap.
Yeah, that's correct. And then also, didn't one of the buggies have trouble when they lowered Horton down? Didn't he pull through the master cylinder on his buggy?
Yeah, there was something going on with the brakes.
Okay.
Yeah, there was something going on with the brakes a little bit. I don't know the exact thing, but you're right. There was something there. So I go, we thought he broke an axle shaft, Horton, and I go, no, it's still turning, man. We're good. We need to, so we had to winch him back, got him repositioned, lowered down, and we're like, well, fuck, we've got gravity on our side, so let's just keep plunking away at this thing. And we did. Paul was having a blast. These guys were having a freaking blast. Paul, Justin, Jason was there. Lorenzo was the other guy that was passengers, and they're just going, holy shit, this is crazy. But they were having fun. I know everybody was scared shitless, but everybody was having fun too.
That's good.
At that point, I was glad I wasn't driving, because trying to help out and then move a vehicle down and back up the mountain, I would have been running around like crazy. But I had fun with it, and we all worked together as a team, and that's good with our groups that we go out with. Typically, everybody helps out and their expertise shine, and we get back to camp in one piece. Maybe not our vehicles, but
yeah, our vehicles did not have the best shot down hell to pay. I believe by the time we got to the bottom, 3 out of 6 had problems.
So we had Horton's axle. So it was pretty much the ears were gone off the axle, inner and outer axle on the front passenger. We had a split tire, BFG, sidewall, bye, left the chat. And what else?
I believe Paul had the brake problem.
Then the brake issue.
Had no brakes.
So we were down in the desert, but a long ways from camp. So we decided, let's get back to camp. The able vehicles. Paul had this tire, or Justin? Is
Paul.
Yeah, and then Justin stayed with him, and they just limped back, and then we were going to try and find a tire and stuff, but they ended up getting back to camp under their own power.
Yeah, we got back. I was low on fuel, so by the time we got back, I was pretty close to fumes. So we never did find a tire to go back out and reconnect with the group to just change the tire, and he ended up rolling in basically on rim. But the rim survived, and there was almost nothing left of the BFG.
Yeah, it was she gone. But the rim was good. Yeah, that was good. But yeah, that was obviously back at camp. Everybody was safe, and
cocktail hour.
Some serious cocktails went down right away in celebrating that. but did you die? Nope.
No.
So that was fun. And we had a party going on in the Wheeling Wine and Whiskey trailer.
That was awesome.
Yeah, that wasn't that fun. And then Chris Ray came in.
Chris Ray,
Yeah, the Ultra 4 Escort, the wrong seat filler.
For Shannon
so it was good to
Campbell.
catch up with him. And he brought some of his new stickers
That's right.
that his wife had made up. So that was super cool. Yeah, it's always fun when people pop into camp there. And yeah, we had, by that point, I think I had about 40 different flavored or different whiskeys on my counter.
Oh, yeah.
It was well stocked.
7 wines. And then some tequila showed up. And, the Bundenberg.
Moonshine.
The Bundenberg rum from Australia that Ozzy brought a bottle over.
I have a bottle of that here.
Moonshine. Yeah. Moonshine. Yeah, it was growing. And then CJ, when CJ with a CJ got there, he ended up bringing literally like 2 Rubbermaid tubs of moonshine and different, alcohols that when he moved, he's like, dude, I don't need all this. And
pretty
he's like,
sugary
this is a
stuff too.
good place to get rid of it. Yeah.
Didn't he have Fireball? I think you had Fireball in the trailer.
There was Fireball, one of them. I'm like, no, get that out of my camper. I ended up giving that to Mike, Jack and Mike. Mike loves the Fireball. I go, here you go. Merry Christmas.
Nice.
So
should have given him the Jack Daniels I got.
Yeah, see? I wanted the Jack Daniels. Yeah, that's right. You had to. So yeah, let's talk about that real quick, Chris. You got a care package. We had a guest in camp. Unfortunately, I missed him.
Oh, you did, and that was sad.
He came bearing gifts like fucking Santa Claus.
I know. Dusty Drone, Alan, super huge supporter of the show, and of course, the madman worker at King of the Hammers. A lot of the drone shots that you see from the start finish line are from Dusty Drone. The guy is a magician, a freaking wizard with that drone, with the point of view or the first person thing. Whereas he's one of those guys you see sitting next to the, just below the mission
Media
controller
tower there. Yeah.
And
Starters.
he's got the goggles on and he's flying the drones around and whatnot. But anyway, he's, like I said, he's a big supporter of the show and really great dude. And he popped into camp and like Jason said, he had a care package. I was sitting, with my son and he's like, hey, Crit, he walks in and we hug it out and it's super cool, and then he's like, I got some stuff for you and Jason. I'm like, whoa, what do you got? He's like, give me a second. I got to walk back to my truck. Comes back a minute later holding not one, but 2 RC cars, the 1/24 scale RC, rock crawler cars. One, I think, is green, which you have, and I have the red one.
Yeah.
And then he also had a 6-pack of whiskey, Jack Daniel's whiskey, and a couple bottles of wine. And I'm like, oh my God. I was like, this is so not necessary, Alan, but this is super cool. I mean, I want to give him a super, big shout out on the show. I mean, that was, not necessary, but very much appreciated. Alan, Dusty Drone, super cool dude. If you don't follow him on Instagram, he's Dusty Drone on the IG. Give him a follow. Very, very nice guy.
Yeah, that was above and beyond. It surprised the hell out of me because James came up to me and he goes, dude, you got a gift, and I'm like, oh boy, we get a lot of gag gifts too. I'm like, my mind's going to the gutter and the worst thing possible that somebody brought into our camp. And I go, James, is it decent? And he goes, what'd you say? You're going to like this.
I told him you're going to like this, and but you're just going to have to find out and head back to camp and check it out.
Yeah. So I'm like, oh man. Okay. And then you handed me the RC car and I'm like, what the fuck? Who got this? So I'm like, that's really cool. And the really cool part of that, in addition, is, some of you guys have the RC crawlers and started making a little course in the center of our camp where like a campfire ring would be.
Instead of a fire pit, we had a rock
crawling course, and you guys were playing on that. So then I got to charge this thing up and go play too, which was super cool. And then it evolved where some people got really addicted and went and bought more cars at Axial there in Hammertown.
That's right. Yeah.
Yeah.
And Horton was like customizing. The trail was changing every day. You know, I mean, he was walking off into the desert and coming back with freaking Volkswagen sized boulders.
He was coming in with some good sized rocks and filling in the spots, and then someone dug a hole. I mean, there was a lot of different lines for sure.
It's for sure. Yeah, my son and I started the thing because I brought my RC car that I bought last year, and that was like the beginning of the whole deal. Craig, dug the hole, and then we went down to Hammertown. I'm not sure which day it was, but he ended up buying the Ram Charger rock crawler because he wanted an RC car. And so we had his in mind. We were playing, and then of course Big Pete bought his. He bought the big one with 4-wheel steer, and then it just snowballed from there. It got crazy, and then as we mentioned before, Horton, the trail was the course was kept changing and growing, and it was like right in the middle of our camp, this RC rock crawling trail. It was badass.
Yeah, that was cool. What did you guys end up getting, James? You and Dave and.
Well, Pete came back with the big Capita, which was one of the most impressive out of the box crawlers you can get.
4-steer
on portals, and you can even add a servo to that thing, and it'll do front digs. I mean, it's crazy. So, obviously, I wasn't wanting to get that deep, but Dave Ainsworth and I were both playing with it, and we're like, okay, let's go. So we ended up walking down there with Pete again, and there was somebody else in the group as well. And we went down there, and we got the slightly smaller version. I think it's the 110 scale. And they were sold out at the time, and they were like, hey, we got, a guy coming. He's bringing them right now. If you guys just hold on about 20 minutes, they'll be here. And we're like, okay. So a little time goes by. There's like maybe 6-7 of us standing in line. Well, that turned into about 40 people.
It was a big line. I walked by. I'm like, what are you guys doing?
Yeah, it got out of hand really, really quickly. I thought the Axial guys were going to get mugged before they even get to the tent. And, they came in and, they had 2 different colors. I believe one was yellow, one was blue. Obviously, I got to have the blue. And so I got lucky, and I ended up getting the last blue one in the line that night. They actually had to take another 2-3 pickups and drive another couple hours away and go get 2 or 3 more truckloads and come back. They were just selling like hotcakes. But by the time we get back to camp, I mean, I think there was like 7 RC cars going on that rock pile.
It's hilarious. And the lights were bright.
Oh, they were.
Yeah, it was definitely lights.
They were like annoyingly bright. It's like, could you turn your light bar off? It was like anybody else with a freaking light bar in camp.
And then
Jason is campfire is RC car light bar narcolepsy.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it got out of hand. I mean, we the whiskey was going, and we were pulling Randy Slauson and driving over each other.
Jesus,
and everything else.
It was great.
We were playing Ramblin' Man in the background.
It was great. And that was pretty much every midday or evening if we weren't wheeling or drinking. Well, we were drinking, or Jason and I weren't recording. We were goofing off with the RC cars in camp.
Right.
It was great.
Right. No, that was good. But yeah, thanks again, Dusty Drone, Alan, for
sure.
Hooking us up with that. That was above and beyond, but super appreciative of that very kind gift there. And so James is at my house, and he goes, "Dude, you got a rock crawling course in your front yard. I got all those cobbles right in the drainage ditch."
Oh yeah.
I'm like, I didn't even think about that. So I don't even have to build a course. I got one right there.
Perfect. One of the other things about King of the Ham, I know we have tons of stuff to cover and we got to get scooting along, but I just wanted to mention that I bought that e-bike, the electric e-bike.
Yeah.
And I'll tell you what, that thing was great getting up and down the hill for me to hang out in Hammertown and my knee and so forth, my mobility is a little bit reduced for reasons like that I'm not going to get into, but having that e-bike was great to get down the hill and back up the hill, because just can't walk long distances anymore. But I will say that, and this kind of goes into so that Saturday and Sunday was trophy truck weekend, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I got it, man. I went down, I think it was Saturday. My son and I went down to Hammertown to just wander around, and I rode the e-bike down into town. And I can say it wasn't even safe for me to motor around because it was so crowded with people wandering around.
Yeah.
So finally I was just walking the bike, and it was great to once I left Hammertown, I could just ride back, motor back up the hill to camp. But I walked around Hammertown, and this is my observation, I will say, is man, the number of, and we'll get into Sunday in a second here, but there were a lot of people there for the trophy trucks, no question about it.
Busy. And it's been like that the last couple years.
Yeah, and I understand, because I mean those are the $1 million trucks, the big budget things, and they have a great marketing department and so forth, and they're long established and whatnot. So the big following, and Ultra 4, it's been around a bit, but it's still young and compared to trophy truck racing. So, but if we want to roll into Sunday.
Yeah, absolutely. So Sunday, so you were settled into camp, and we took a little cruise over to Laser Town.
That's right. And that's kind of where I was going with the whole trophy truck thing, because you were like, oh, what was it, noon? We were supposed to be there. No, it was later in the day, 3:00 or whatever.
It was 2:00, I believe, was our appointment with Cody.
So we left at like 1:45 to go. It was like, it's just a quick trip down Boone Road to get to Laser Town. And we got down the little road from Upper Hammertown Heights and wanted to take that right turn onto Boone Road at the firewood store. It was gridlock, man. It was like people were leaving after the trophy truck races, and it was like unbelievable.
But that's where the golf cart comes in handy.
That's right.
Bobbed and weaved, got through the crowd, and then worked the desert. Tried to get into the back door of Laser Town, got denied.
Back door is never a good place to go.
High security, which I totally get. I mean, back in the day, we just, roll up, open up the gate, drive in, close the gate behind you, and there you are. But nope, there is security, there's lasers, there's a firing squad,
metal detector, frisk. You got frisked, I got frisked. I got frisked twice because I liked it so much.
Exactly. So we got directed to the front gate, and he had the school bus parked there, the Laser Town shuttle, and that was the home base for the lady checking everybody in, and you sign your waiver, which I get, and that's very smart. And you get your stickers, you get an armband and everything. I'm like, holy crap, Cody!
Yeah.
We got quite the operation here.
Well, he had the full-fledged RV park, concierge service going on in the Laser Town. So
it was cool. So yeah, we arrived there. It was cool because I didn't make it there last year. And he adds stuff almost every month. Sculptures, 20-foot tall, smudge pots, whatever.
Priuses, smart cars,
There was a lot of new trees in the cactus, row going in now. Very cool. It's fun to watch that place evolve.
Yuccas and Joshua trees.
Mm-hmm. So that was cool to get to. He's got a ton of stuff, a lot of balls in the air that week. Not to mention, teams racing and all that. And
we popped our head into the
come on
garage
over
with the race cars, and
yeah, so cool. They had the race cars in there, and getting everything dialed in, and so he's all, let's just do it in the house. So you and I set up at the big table, and his dad was in there watching the race that was going on.
That's right.
That day. So that was cool. And what a cool place, man. It's just super nice.
Well, it's got his eclectic art and his personality. It's definitely on display in there. That's for sure. So.
If you haven't listened to the episode, Cody does talk about some of the art pieces, and they are they're definitely thought provoking.
That's one way to put it.
They're thought provoking. It is. It's a fun place. So always great to sit down with him. That was a fun interview. He's super genuine. There's no candy coating bullshit or pretentious or any of that. I mean, he's just the real deal. And we had a good conversation with him. I enjoyed that.
Yeah, that was definitely a highlight. I think that's probably the highlight of my week. My 6 days, 6 nights there was definitely, well, there's a lot of highlights, but that was the first highlight. But yeah, I mean, just being able to chill out a little bit and enjoy a little bit of his hospitality was nice.
Yeah. And then we got to go look around. Went over to the koi pond and man, and the new statue we just got. The what the hell was that thing? It was not Terminator. What was the movie?
Predator.
Predator. Thank you.
Predator, the alien.
And we were looking at the craftsmanship on this thing, up close and personal. I'm like, Jesus Christ, how long did it take this person to build this thing?
Well, and it's built literally from automotive parts,
car parts.
Car parts or machine parts, whatever, I mean, stuff from like John Deere tractors and field plows and cars, and it's just badass. It's super cool.
Camshafts and
I mean, that's a whole nother form of artistry to be able to visualize how a chain's going to fit into, a timing chain's going to fit into a sculpture.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. It's just, it doesn't compute in my mind.
But cool stuff. So yeah, and then Warren, I got to pronounce it right. Ultra Ford Jones is yelling at me right now. Warren,
Factor 55.
Justin was out there putting on a clinic, and some of the executives from Warren and Factor 55. And
that's right.
Eric was there, Hannah.
Right.
And so we got to see he put on this clinic for drivers, and there's quite a few people there, and he was talking about, obviously winching techniques, safety. And then he actually put a winch line under tension and cut it with a knife.
That was cool.
Yeah. So that was cool to see. And, he was cutting it slow and how the threads were, starting to separate, but still under tension, and then finished it off. And then he showed how to splice it with the FID and how quick it is to do that, and why you don't want to tie a knot in it and trying to, do it fast.
I was blown away at how fast that was. And obviously he's an expert, but I mean,
right. That wasn't his first rodeo, but still it's not super complex. And it's crazy strong, when you do it the correct way with the FID, because the rope bites on itself like a Chinese finger clamp, So, that was a cool deal. So we spent like an hour and a half hanging out with them. And
I'll just back up for a second, because I want to talk real quick about that recovery technique that he showed that would have been super good for the Gomez last year when he rolled himself and he wasn't able to recover. He had to get assistance later on, but I think that was JP, I believe, right?
Yeah.
But that was something that never even occurred to me. And I mean, obviously, if you're in a buggy, not a full bodied or machine that you care about, paint and finish and whatnot,
right,
or body damage. But that was an interesting technique that they demonstrated on how to self recover if you're on your side and you need to pull yourself sideways,
right.
Using a snatch block and basically putting the snatch block up to your roll bar, if you will, and potentially having the winch rope go over your hood or over your sheet metal to whatever the recovery point is, or your hookup point, tree, rock, another vehicle, whatever it is. course, if there's another vehicle there, you kind of hope they would have a winch and pull you over. But I thought that was pretty interesting and something that never even occurred to me.
Yeah, no, it is. There's so many different cool techniques out there, and that I've learned and seen over the years. And then there's several others. So I was aware of that technique. I've never seen it in operation, but yeah, it was cool. I mean, there's just a wealth of knowledge there. So yeah, and then that kind of wrapped up the Sunday afternoon. But then on, let's see, man, I was kind of tired. I was kind of wiped out. We got back to camp. Talking into a mic is it does get a little tiring and stuff. So we finally get back to camp, and we ate. And Chris Ray was blowing up our phone and saying, "Hey, it's really quiet over here at the Campbell's camp. Why don't you come on over and record?" So we walked on down to Hammertown.
That's got to be a rare event,
What's that?
It's got to be a very rare event for Shannon and Jess to be quiet. And
well,
calm.
It was nice because it was early in the week, and I mean, something was going on every day, but this was like we went down there at like 8:00 at night or something, right?
Oh yeah.
And after they had dinner, we had dinner after the drivers' meeting.
That's
the
right.
First drivers' meeting they had that week. And so we got to sit down with Shannon and Jess Campbell, Chris.
And this
Ray,
is no lie. They were Netflix and chilling.
They were. They had the TV set up. I mean, they definitely had a cool camp. Had bar. They had the bar from the coop there, and had some nice pictures up. The boss lady, boss bitch. The sign said. Oh gosh.
Yeah, okay.
They're great. So anyways, a lot of fun. And God, you could just sit there all day and listen to Shannon's stories, man.
Oh my God.
And so he's an easy interview. Just to, give him a subject and he just goes off on it. It was great to have Jess finally on the podcast. We've threatened to have her on before and stuff. And so that was cool to sit down with both of them, and their camaraderie is fun. And
absolutely.
Yeah, that was great. And then having Chris Ray there, and we talked about all, how that transpired of him getting in the wrong seat and Shannon never having a right seat until recently. And
with the new chassis for sure. I mean, obviously his previous cars were all single seat rigs.
Right. That's right. So always enjoyable to talk to him. And it still blows me away that he knows our names. I mean, I'm just, it's like Chris Ray said, he's like, one of our heroes, right? But he's so humble. And he, he's like, I don't even know why you guys want to talk to me. And it's like, dude, come on. You're Shannon motherfucking Campbell.
Something I want to do, is I want to go hang out down at the coop, and I want to, rent the Airbnb and freaking, do a little bit of side by side and action down
side by siding with him.
Yeah. I don't know about naked, but yeah, nobody wants to see me naked. That's for sure.
That was hilarious. So if you haven't listened to that episode, go back and listen to that one a couple episodes ago. That was a good one.
You never know what you're going to get on Wheeling Wine and Whiskey, but it's always going to be good.
What you're going to get with Shannon. You're always going to get some X-rated comment somewhere in the thing. And it was great. So
it's like a box of X-rated chocolates.
Appreciate being able to sit down and catch up with them. So yeah. You want to say something, James?
Nope. It was just a great episode. So amazing stories.
Yeah. So then we didn't get back to camp till like 10:30 or something that night.
That was a rough.
And I was tired walking down. I was like, oh my God. But then got re-energized sitting down there, had a little whiskey in their camp, and fired up from the interview. So I get back and I can't go to sleep. And so I know I didn't do no night run, but I went around our camp, and our camp, our main campfire was out. There is the whole DF Fab crew was you know, asleep. I mean, I'm like, what the hell? So where do you go? You go over to Ultra 3. And
Oh
of
boy.
course, their fire was going, and the ATCs were running around the track, and it was a party over there. So I hung out over there for till the wee hours of the morning. That was a lot of
Nice.
fun. Got to meet Don. I believe his name was Don. He's the one that's in charge of the fire, the pyro at the top of the teepee.
Yeah,
He
I
has
met
the
him earlier
magic
in the day.
button.
Yeah.
So that was cool. So yeah, talking with them, and Danny 2.0 was over there, and of course Baker, our good buddy, and they're like, "Hey, are you going on the ride tomorrow?" And I'm like, "Well, I'd love to, but I don't have an ATC." And no, we got tons of rentals in this camp. Just be here at noon or whatever, And I'm like, okay. I can't miss this. I've always wanted to do it. I've always, envied them when they're driving out across from our camp there, and there's 100 of them heading out to Boone
All
Road.
right. Boone Road down to the 40.
Their Monday cruise. I think they've been doing it for the last couple years. So that morning was the X Rocks event down by Dave Cole's camp compound. That East Coast outfit, the X Rocks, was putting on that event. So I had to go over there and see that, and got to see the boys, John Himble, Mad Cow, Brassanini's were there.
Mm-hmm.
Big Silver, Little Silver.
Yeah, the Melchners. It was the who's who. Of course, the Dickies were there. Brent and Matt. Yeah, so it was cool, and it was pretty crazy course that they had there. It was it wasn't high consequence. I mean, there was rollovers, but it wasn't like you were rolling down a cliff or anything, But there was some definite crazy drops off cambers that they were having to negotiate, and some cracks. It looked like they were having a ball, and they were putting on a good show for sure.
Yeah, they definitely were. I'm kind of bummed I missed that one.
Oh, you didn't see it at all? You just saw the
No,
video?
I ended up just watching the
Yeah,
video.
videos from them.
And then we ended up, I took off with Josh and Dave Ainsworth to do some pre-running out by Sunbonnet, and got to check out some of that area because that was my first time out there with the buggy, and so I hadn't really got to see a lot of the territory. So it was super cool. Paul Wolf, I look in my mirror and I see somebody coming fast, couldn't tell what it was, and man, by the time he went, I think he went by me up Sunbonnet Rock Trail doing about 30 miles an hour. I mean,
Wow.
What gave it away? The wing?
What was that, Chris?
The wing or the spoiler give it away?
No, he was actually in the UTV.
Yeah.
Oh, he was?
He was running the UTV early in the week.
Yep. So that was wild just to kind of see, one of the top, getting to actually see, firsthand what it's like, how fast they're actually moving up these rock trails, and it was just wild.
Yeah, that's some cool stuff. I love being out there wheeling and having the racers come up on you, get politely out of their way and watch them wave as they go by.
No doubt. I mean, thinking about the day we did Outer Limits a few years ago in the buggy, and it took us a couple hours to do the trail, I think, and you watch them on the live stream or whatever, and they do it in like 5 minutes.
Yeah. So, I was at X Rocks in the morning, and then I'm like, it was like 11:30. I'm like, I got to jam. I got to get back. I can't miss this deal. So I ran back to camp and went over to Ultra 3, and they were warming up the bikes and working on them and stuff. And so Dave's like, oh, good. You're here. Here, you got your choice of these two little 70s, the like midget ones, or you can get Big Red here with the big balloon tires. And I go, I'll take Big Red. That looks like a better ride. Good choice. So Dustin hooked me up with his, it's literally his ranch ATC, it's his cruiser, his workhorse. And it's freaking cool, man. So we all line up at, Ultra 3 camp there, and then they got cameras going and drones, and everybody's fired up, and they literally drop the flag, and then everybody just takes off to Boone Road and makes the ride on Boone Road across from the firewood
Boone
guy.
Road.
And then our first stop was the 40. And there was a couple casualties on the way to the 40. There's a couple crashes.
Oh boy.
There was some near misses.
See, Boone Road is really bad. Even an ATC can't make it,
man. And well, they are the most dangerous freaking thing out there with an engine. I arguably, that's why they stopped making them years ago.
So true story. I had neighbors when these things first came out. I lived in Connecticut, and our neighbor 2 doors down bought some of these things, and he had daughters. And one of the daughters went over the freaking handlebars and broke both of her arms and had casts on both arms.
Yeah.
So they're legit dangerous, man.
Yeah, we ended up with one lady. What happens is, your feet are right there in front of the rear wheels, and then you go to put a foot down or something, and then you run your foot over. And I think that happened to one lady because she had a swollen ankle when she got to Lasertown. But yeah, well, out of 100 bikes, I mean, statistically, something's going to go south.
You know it.
But we had a ball. We get to the 40 and they open up the front gate and we get to drive right up to the bar. Normally you got to park outside, right? But we got to drive right in. And the cool thing is, as we're going down Boone Road, everybody's videoing, high-fiving, yelling, honking horns. You take command of Boone Road with 100 ATCs or so. And but it was cool. We lined them all up in front of the bar at the 40, and we hung out there for a good hour and a half or 2 hours, just BSing.
That's a long hang.
It was cool, and going around and talking to people. Blake Wilkie was there on his electric 3-wheeler. It was fun. It was cool, and got to catch up with Boston Kyle and the guys there.
Boston Kyle. I saw him when he was rolling into camp in his RV.
Yeah. Okay. So then, and Lindsay Wagner was there, and so I go, hey, I don't have I got my armband here. I said, I think that was only a day pass to Lasertown. Are they going to let me in? She goes, you're with me. You'll get in. I said, okay, good.
People.
So we roll up to
just need to say, do you know who I am?
Do you know who I am? So we cruise on back out to Boone Road. You got to cross the bridge and the arch of King of the Hammers there. Go back out to the corner and then make the left to Lasertown. So it was
just
cool.
Follow the signs to Lasertown.
That's right. And then so the gates open, and of course they're waving us on in.
And the signs that say this is not Lasertown, drive past them. Right.
Yeah. Exactly. And so we end up parking around all the 3-wheelers around the pond, the koi pond back there, getting photos. Mm-hmm. Well, that day, Monday, was Cody's birthday.
That's right.
49. So Lindsay and the girls had made shots for everybody, birthday cake shots, they called them. And, they had these little plastic containers with the lid. And I don't know if it was Bailey's and vodka. It was Bailey's and something, or just Bailey's maybe, in the cup. And then there was frosting with, sprinkles, rainbow sprinkles on top of the cap there. So they passed those out, and everybody sang happy birthday and did a shot for Cody's birthday. So that was cool. And then, Cody, well, gee, what doesn't Lasertown have? Oh, it doesn't have a 3-wheeler track. So why don't we build one of those? So he built one of those earlier in the week. So we all headed over there. And of course, a bunch of them got in the circle and started racing around at Lasertown. So
didn't he hire a professional team to practice to win?
Yeah, something like that. And then one guy, they started racing around quick, and one of them shot outside the berm, and Cody's like, "Oh, time for me to go. I don't want to watch this." So
they all need to sign waivers.
Exactly. But no blood, no foul. It was all good.
Did you die?
But it was cool because I got to, in between getting photos and stuff in the birthday celebration at the pond and going over to Ultra 3, I caught up with Johnny Rocha.
Oh.
And so that was freaking awesome to see his new Rockabilly buggy. So that thing's badass, man. It's a piece of art. The craftsmanship on it's great, and so I got to talk to him for a few minutes and admire that ride. So, and I think he's starting to sell those now. So if you're interested, look him up. We need to get him on the podcast. He's got a lot of stories to tell too.
Hashtag Jason money.
No. That's way beyond my money there. And then, we left there, came back to Ultra 3, and, it was cool. I was super appreciative that I got to hang out with them. So Ultra 3, always a good time. Got to do the Monday ride. Beep, checked off the bucket list.
They sent me an invoice. They sent me an invoice for that rental, by the way.
Oh, perfect. How much was it?
$500.
Oh, geez. Wow. It was worth every dime. And then we went back down to Hammertown, I should say. I got Lasertown on the mind. And we caught up with Megan Miller and Derek and checked out their new freaking badass ride. Mm-hmm. That thing was cool. Were you with us, James?
I was not with us, but I did check it out, and that thing looks so good.
Yeah.
So good.
Yeah, so that was cool. It's so cool to see how that team has evolved, right? We got to interview them, get caught up with them. So check out that interview. That was like 6-7 episodes ago now. But holy hell, that's quite a race car. And it looks super cool with that livery on it. So
livery, you said it right.
I said it right. I know. How about that? Gold star. Oh, even Lorenzo's giving me the hoof right now. Right on. So, that's the fun. I love getting to know all these different teams and people that you see. Sometimes you only see them once a year at this event at KOH, but you walk around in the pits and, it's like, hey, Jason, oh, hey, cool. Let's go check them out, and vice versa. You're just walking by and you're like, hey, wait a minute. That's so-and-so. Let's go bug them for a few minutes, see if they got any whiskey.
Right.
So yeah, that's always fun. And then Tuesday, Ultra 3 night. I mean, it's just, you wake up excited for Tuesday because it's Ultra 3 night.
It's Ultra 3. Hey, just
everybody's
real quick,
talking about Ultra 3
that
night.
The Megan Miller episode was episode 288.
The what? Oh, 288. Okay, yeah. 288. So, and then it's EMC qualifying, that day.
That's right.
So that was a blast to watch. And it was fun. From our camp, we could see part of the course. We could see Short Bus. We could see Gates Gate, which I didn't know what that was. I'm like, why do they call it Gates Gate? Well, it's Gates Belts. The CTV, the belts that we have on our.
Oh, that was the top of the hill. Yeah.
Yeah, that's at the very top of the hill. So that was called Gates for Gates, their sponsorship. And I'm like, okay, well, that makes sense. And then we were watching the live feed on our phones or tablets or whatever we had in front of us. And it was cool. And then if I sat on top of my camper, I could see the short course. I could see the infield there. And the short course and them jumping and coming down the Bronco Arch and all that stuff. So that was cool. Just exciting to watch. And, of course we got a lot of cars and teams that we watch, in EMC, a lot of fans. So, that's a good time to see our friends do well out on the course.
Don't forget about the excitement of the gap jump.
Well, and then the gap jump. Yeah, the gap jump. That was exciting, the gap jump. I don't know. My thoughts on the gap jump, I thought it was pretty cool. I don't know. It sucks.
It was a harsh punishment if you didn't make it.
It was a harsh punishment. And unfortunately, during the EMC day, oh my God, I'm drawing a blank on him now. I met him, great guy. God, it's on the tip of my tongue. Who rolled over right at the start?
Oh, don't ask me.
People are yelling at the freaking. Oh my God. We met him in Arkansas. When we were at Hot Springs, Arkansas, he was right there.
Dang it! I know who you're talking about.
You're useless, James. Pass the
come
mic
on, James.
Goodbye. Get out.
I'm gonna blame it on the Clyde Mays whiskey right here.
Yeah,
need a sip. Dwayne Garrettson. God damn. See, I just needed to take a sip. So Dwayne Garrettson. I mean, he's
motivation.
He's a veteran racer. This isn't his first rodeo. So for him to, man, that thing just gave him a donkey kick. Yeah, it's a donkey kick there, Lorenzo. But fuck, that was hard to watch. So I don't know. R.I.P. the gap jump. We'll leave it at that. So qualifying, man, Justin Hall put down a heater. We talked about that on the last podcast. That was impressive. New car to him, and he was in he finished 7th or something. He qualified 7th or 8th.
I believe it was 7th.
Yeah,
and he actually had 0 time in that car. Literally just loaded.
Yeah, like 15 minutes.
He had 15 minutes, 20 minutes. Just driving out in the desert and back. So
yeah,
but yeah. So then. Yeah, it was just kind of a casual day. We went walking around in pits and stuff again, and I'm trying to think. When did I go out and do the lap with Josh and the bomber?
I thought that was towards midday. I was stuck on the track.
It was either Tuesday or Wednesday.
I think that was Wednesday.
You know what? You might be right. It might have been Wednesday. I don't know. It's kind of a blur, but.
Well, Wednesday was the SXOR interview in the evening, and it seems like you guys side by side it all day long.
You're right. So we'll save that let's talk about Ultra 3. What do you think of Ultra 3, Chris?
Oh, it was a hard nope.
What the hell, man?
No, you know what? I've been the hammered. Yeah, I've gone to Ultra 3 every year for the past 4 or 5 years.
Come on, man.
This last year, my anxiety was off the chart, and I started walking down there, and I'm like, I started to just try to cross the road to get to it. Why did Chris cross the road? Well, he couldn't because he was freaking out, man. But there was a fuck ton of people down there, and just getting across the road, the number of cars and vehicles coming up the hill to just find parking to go to Ultra 3 was out of control.
We're doing valet parking next year. That is going to be how we pay for our King of the Hammer.
Dude, I think you that might be the key, really.
I'm going to hire a bunch of kids, a bunch of people, and
put them in little white and black pants, white shirt.
No, we'll all have like a beanie or something. I don't know, or a hat, but we're going to set up right down from our camp. We'll set up a valet booth.
Valet?
And can park everybody.
That'll be awesome.
And then I'm going to put a Wheelin' Wine and Whiskey sticker on every car that we
that'd be awesome.
we in valet park.
So, I mean, I'm part of me regrets not participating and going down to Ultra 3, but at the same time, I was relieved.
I get it. It was like a kid on Christmas morning. I was so damn excited for it because every single, people you want to see is at Ultra 3 that night. And it's cool to see how it's grown.
Oh,
I mean,
huge.
They had the pit section, roped off so they could get on and off the track easy because in the past they couldn't get, racers out and on and off the track easy. The announcer, the music, the anthem. They did a national anthem this year. I don't ever.
I heard that. And that was badass. That was badass.
It was great. And of course, you don't want to be right on the track unless you're in the center because there's no safe spot.
No.
So some guys from Australia, I was talking to at the beginning, and I go, look, that was their first time there, and I go, look, you want to be about 3 people deep, back from the track, so you got some buffer between you and the ATCs.
Yeah, it's like the K rail. They're
exactly.
the K rail.
They are the human K rail, and so yeah, I had a good time chatting it up with them. And I stayed there for a hot minute because then people started leaving. I got a little closer, and then I got like second row, and I'm like, and then one bike did fly into the crowd, and I'm like, okay, it's time for me to start making my laps around the circle. So I started making laps and talking to people, and it was great. I didn't see half the people I wanted to talk to that I know were there. I could see them, I just couldn't get to them.
Right.
But it was cool. Jim Martson, got to see him and talk to him for a hot second, and oh my God, I mean, it just numerous people. You just walking around and hey, what's up? And it's a fun party. It's a
It is.
party.
It is. And I'm going to put a request in, Boston Kyle. If you can give me a VIP pass for the VIP area for next year, I'm all about it.
You need to, you need to get on top of one of the RVs or something there. That's where you can be out of the crowd, but yet part of the event. And maybe that would be the place for you. I don't know. But it's cool. It's cool. Did you make it over there, James? I didn't see you.
Yeah, I made it over there. It was a blast. I mean, just wandering around and, everybody's so friendly and, ran into Boston Kyle, of course, and talking.
That's the alcohol.
I was going to say, and drunk.
Right. Everybody's drunk, having a good time. Saw the Ultra 4 escort, Chris. We talked to him for quite a bit, and then just kind of made the rounds and saw a lot of good friends, good people, met some new people, and it was just a great time.
Yeah, always a good time. I was there for all the races. They were crowning the king and the queen. I wasn't right there, but I heard it going on. Yeah, it was a fun night. It's a fun freaking night.
Who won?
It wasn't Boston Kyle.
Oh shit!
No, he got put out kind of early. It wasn't his night. He was bumming, but he's like, "Hey, that's racing." Well, you're right, that's racing.
It's racing. That's right.
Yeah, I don't know who the and I don't know if Danny took the queen again. I was there, but I didn't see. I was talking to people and maybe a few whiskeys deep.
Right.
So I don't want to misrepresent the winners of Ultra 3. We'll have to wait for the official results to be dropped.
I will say the campfire.
I'll have to let me look on Lorenzo. Yeah, why don't you look up Ultra 3 and see who won?
The campfire up at Hammertown Heights was awesome.
Was it good that night?
Oh yeah.
It was damn near dead by the time I got up there.
Andy Carnitas and a bunch of other people. It was great.
Andy Carnitas.
Yeah, there was a couple. The sody bombs were dropped that night. And
no, they're not called sody bombs. Beto bombs, exactly.
Beto bombs. That's right.
Yeah, the Beto bombs.
So Ultra 3 Tuesday night, off the cuff. I missed it. You guys had fun. That was super cool.
It was. It was good. It was really good.
And we roll into Wednesday.
Okay.
Wednesday. My last full day on the lakebed. Bummer day for me.
Full day on the lakebed. Yeah, that was.
But it was a full day. We got a lot of shit done. We had a good time, and obviously there was qualifying going on during that time. It was the big dog qualifying that happened that day.
Yeah, it's called Power Hour.
Well, Power Hour is the last hour, but
I know Power Hour 4400. That's when all the big dogs are out there.
That's right. Super cool. Again, the same qualifying track that, short course plus up the hill and through Gates Gate and so forth. A lot of great action and some kind of surprises about who bombed the trail and who didn't qualify. That was interesting to see. Like Shearer had a mechanical failure of some sort and ended up not finishing the Q course.
Yeah, and I heard that was that rack, the steering rack broke.
Oh shit!
And
Broke his rack.
it wasn't a brand new rack. They had planned on running that rack and putting a brand new rack in for the race.
Ah,
I don't know, not saying that it had a known issue, but it was they were prepared to put a new one in before the race. So unfortunately, he tagged that one rock so hard.
He hit very hard. I was working the qualifying course that day, and had an awesome front row seat. You could hear just about everything if they tagged something, or it was perfectly clean line. And halfway up the hill, he tagged a rock, and it was nasty.
Oof, yeah. Yeah, it looked nasty on the live feed. This just in. Okay, looking at the Ultra 3 IG page. So, King and Queen Ultra 3 2025 is Kaysen and Kim. Don't have last names. Got pictures here. You look up on their February 5th post on Ultra 3 IG. You can see them holding they got their crocheted crowns and the nice trophies that we saw, Chris.
that's
when
right.
We were at Lasertown. They were
Laser Nut made them. That's right. Cody Wagner's company.
Yep, Cody Wagner made them and polished them. They're super cool. They are a crown, and so that's freaking awesome. But anyways, there's that. There's the updated info. Thank you, Lorenzo, for doing some research for
out off the press. That's fantastic. So yeah, Wednesday was Q day, and there's so many. Man, those cars, that crazy trail. I mean, the coming down that hill when at near the end when they come back into the short course, that area was just kind of a mystery and a challenge for a lot of the cars, and like Paul Wolf came through there like a freaking storm, like he always does.
Missile.
The guy just drives like, I don't know. It's like
a junkyard dog.
He's a maniac.
He is. He's a wheelman. He's a wheelman.
But to think about all the big top people, and of course, you got Slauson and the Gomez boys, and just so many great cars come through that on qualifying day, and that just leads up to
the main event on Saturday. So I gotta say, bringing the Can-Am, I knew it was going to be a different experience, but it was a lot of fun to do lap one. So Josh, racing that bomber, and we did what the first lap was 65 miles, but since they were using the infield and stuff for qualifying, we couldn't do that part of it. So we did like 62 and a half or 63 miles.
The desert lap.
The desert lap. And so just a quick refresher, the trophy trucks ran it one direction, and then all the rest of the Ultra 4 races ran it the opposite direction.
So the trophy trucks ran it counterclockwise.
Yes.
And the Ultra 4s were clockwise.
There you go. Yes. So we came right out of our camp and caught up on the course and followed along. And I had Onyx up on the screen and was able to follow along. I was following Josh in the bomber. And then Pete and Lynn were behind me. I had Austin Hamilton behind in my right seat, I should say. He's building a bomber right now.
He is.
Trail bomber. Yeah. Freaking kid. Anyways, it's going to be badass, right? Hashtag Hamilton money. Anyways, so we go out, and now, mind you, I said I got 35s, 21 inches of clearance to my skid plate. The ruts that were so dug out on the areas of the desert, you could hear the sand and the gravel hitting my skid plate several times.
It's like sandpaper.
You just hear it. I'm like, it was no big deal, but it was like, holy crap, this is how deep these ruts get. And I was like, okay, this is cool. And then the silt beds out on the lake beds, oh my God, just dust. I'm like, we averaged like 40, 45 miles an hour for the first lap. I mean, that's boogieing for me. And the side-by-side's just soaking it up. It was so comfortable. And we had our, I got an air pumper in that thing. So we're breathing clean air, but you can't see shit. There was times, Chris, I couldn't see the fucking plastic on the front of my, right in front of the freaking side by side.
Now wait a bit, but Big Pete was with you, and he doesn't have a pumper. He has open face.
No, he was wearing a dust mask. Him and Lynn were wearing dust masks, and yeah,
that ain't
it was
the same.
It had to be miserable. But we were breathing clean air, but you would start to stagger out on the lake beds.
Yeah, I wouldn't know about it. You've never given me a connection to the pumper on your rig, so
well, sorry. I don't know. Anyways, so it was just to experience it, right? Like if I had the buggy, I wouldn't have done all of lap 1. That would have been a long day in the buggy, but in the side by side, it was fun. And Big D, Josh, is just like blasting past us. You just pull over a little bit, they blast past you. And then they're like, stop and make notes. And you'd pass them. And then freaking 10 minutes later, vroom, they're passing by you again. And Paul Wolf went by us. And, just Levi Shirley. And just, it's just cool seeing the racers out there marking everything for them and pre-running. But then we you come up to Emerson Ridge, which you saw was fucking people rolling over.
Oh, it was crazy.
That's a fucking hill, man.
Dude, but if you're saying you told me that in the text stream when we were chatting back and forth, but I mean, looking at it on the live stream, I mean, I'm sitting here. Why are these people roll? It doesn't look that gnarly. It just doesn't.
Steep, dude. I had both wheels up in the air, front wheels of the Can-Am up in the air, climbing that thing. There's some ruts, and it's steep. And you got to keep on the throttle. And there's some turns. It's not like straight up a hill, and it's all dug out from, freaking thousands of vehicles running on it that week. It was, I got Austin to, we're mic'd up, and he's like, whoa. And I'm like, yeah, this is gnarly. But we all got up to the top, no problem. And then jetted out and, did the rest of the desert loop. And then you pop back in, over by back door. And that's where we cut out. We bypassed Resolution and back door because, they're running the qualifying.
Sure.
So it was cool, man. It was super cool. It took us a couple hours. We were just cruising. We did stop a couple times. But it was cool to do the first lap and experience that and then be able to watch it on the live feed and go, oh yeah, I know that area, or that there's some serious ruts out there, cross grains right outside our camp, and those are fucking gnarly ass whoops.
Oh, yeah.
And just it's cool. It's neat. It's like I can relate it to when we got to play golf at these cool PGA courses that, like Pebble Beach or whatever, and you play that golf course and then you watch the, AT&T Pro-Am and exactly where they're at on that golf course and like, oh yeah, I hit my driver here.
No, I wouldn't know the water over there, and
I'd
be in the rough and they'd be in the fairway.
Right. Or their drive would be like fucking where your second shot would be, it's just like
third.
It's crazy. It's just cool to be able to relate to, a professional sport, if you will.
No, for sure. So, well, that's cool.
Yeah.
So do you want to talk about some race results? I know our hardcore listener, looks like, James has something to add.
Yeah, you can. Well, I think we should get into race results in a couple minutes here because we haven't got to race day yet.
Oh, James, you got something?
With the podcast. You see how this works? See what I'm up against all the time, James?
Yeah, it's like holding back a mountain. I get it. I'll help you hold it back.
Go ahead. What were you going to say, James? You were holding up your hand.
About that night, because isn't that when Josh lost his co-dog?
Yes. Yes, he did.
For racing. So
he did. He came into my trailer like somebody just kicked him in the balls.
Ooh, ow.
Yeah, so you want to talk about how that transpired and who came to save the day?
Okay. All right. Yeah, so Josh came in the trailer, the Wheeler Wine and Whiskey bar. It was a lot of fun. I got to say, that was cool. I had an envision of this bar top, how it turned out. It's super cool, and everybody loved it. And, of course, it served its purpose. But
Well, it did because I came home with more freaking whiskey than I left with.
Yeah,
so.
well, I noticed none of your whiskey ever made it in there.
Shocker.
I didn't bring anything worthwhile.
Bullshit. I was in your camper. I had a couple sniglets of some really good shit that you were holding back on. But
the
I
Knob
was in the know.
Creek?
So, anyways,
Knob Creek.
I love Knob Creek, dude. I love Knob Creek. So, yeah, Josh came in and it looked like he got kicked in the nuts. And I go, "What's up, dude?" And I thought something was wrong with his car. And he goes, "Art just backed out, as my co-dog." And I go, "What?" And so he goes, "I don't know, do you know anybody? What do you think? Blah, blah, blah." And I'm like, "Well, don't look at me because I'm not a right seat guy for go fast shit." But I said, "I know a guy." And I immediately picked up the phone and texted Kevin Jones. And I go,
Ultra
"Hey,
4 Jones.
Ultra 4 Jones." I go, "Hey, here's the situation. I don't even know if you're interested or if you know somebody. Send help." And so he called me up and he goes, "Okay." He goes, "You guys at camp?" And I go, "Yeah." And he goes, "Hey, I want to meet Josh," because he didn't know who he was. And I want to make sure, I could like sit in a race car with him. And I want to make sure the car is safe and, all these things. And I go, "Hey, I get it. Come on down." So, dude, within like 10 minutes, he was at our camp.
That's right. I remember that.
I introduced him to Josh. He goes over to the car. So they're over there BSing and they're going on for half an hour, 45 minutes. So I walk over with my whiskey and just to see what was going on.
Let me interject that
yeah.
Kevin was in full race mode at that point. He was no BS.
No
BS.
The whole time he was. I mean, he had his fun, but he was all business down there. He kept his racing hat on, if you will.
Yeah, and it was so awesome to be a kind of a fly on the wall, so to speak, and getting to see what the wrong seat driver is going through the process of when he's examining a car, meeting a new driver, questions he's asking, the information that he's looking for, and the knowledge that he is dropping as well. And it was just it was incredible. It was really cool to see, and it was awesome to listen to.
Yeah, I echo those sentiments, and he's checking out the GPS system, and so it was cool, and it's business. He took it seriously. It wasn't just like, "Oh, I'm going to ride with you and go have some fun,
pull some cable, and maybe do a little jogging or whatever."
Right. So I was excited that my only question, and I asked Kevin, I'm like, "Hey, is Aaron okay with this?" Because physically you're getting beat up the day before you get in the car with Aaron, but the positive side is you get to see the course intimately at race pace, and so there's that benefit.
Correct.
And Kevin's a firefighter. He's no slouch, so he's like, "Yeah, I got this." And he was going to ride right seat in the EMC day anyways with Holly, and then
didn't happen.
that separated out. So
that fell through.
That fell through. That's a good way to put it. That fell through.
Perfect.
But like Holly said, it was best for their friendship to not do it, and I get it, and that's it worked out. So it got Kevin in the right seat that day. Unfortunately, they had some alternator charging battery issues, and that ultimately took him out of the race. But Kevin got to do some jogging back and forth to the pit.
That poor guy, man. I don't even know how. I would have been dead after the first one, but I think Kevin made at minimum of 3 trips, but I really think it was 4 trips from where they were broken down to remote pit.
And you even brought an alternator or something out, right? Didn't you run something out to the pit too for him?
We had a
battery.
We had 2 trips out to the
out
pit.
Of Dave Ainsworth.
Yeah, we stole the battery out of Dave Ainsworth. We threw it in the buggy.
That's right. I heard all this on the text stream.
Went blasting across the desert to remote pit 2, which I had no idea where we were going. So that was entertaining. Ended up in the wrong spot first go around, but I was able to pull into the pit right as Kevin was hiking in, and so was able to walk the battery over to him at that point, did a handoff, and then he took off back towards the car. We
So
talked to the pit.
wait, he ran across the desert carrying a fucking 65-pound battery.
Yep.
A fucking battery.
Yep.
And so, at that point, we're like, okay, we could, we talked to the pit crew. Hey, anything else you need? No, we're good. Okay. We're going to mosey on back to camp. So we get back, Hort and I get back, and then, we get this phone call again. Hey, new problem, alternators, the culprit, and we possibly need steering fluid as well. And we're like, okay. So we go over, get in trailer, get the fluid, and grab the alternator. And round two, went flying back by, and man, it's crazy because I couldn't tell you how far away we were from remote pit 2 from where camp is, but Kevin's just an animal. I mean, I come flying by and I see a guy off in the distance jogging across the desert, and he darn near beat us for the third time. I think that was at that point.
Jeez.
Second or third time at that point. Yeah, he darn near beat us to the pit. So, I mean, that guy's conditioning is just unreal. So, anyway, got to the pit just in time. Kevin rolled in. We switched out the pulleys and proceeded to wave them off again. Good luck, players.
Jesus.
So, man, I just can't believe, went back up there. They got it back together. And then, unfortunately, they got going a little further. And the car just, there was something going on with the car between the charging system. We found out later the next day that it was some sort of a grounding issue.
Always a
possibly,
ground.
Wire grounding through, because if you hit the right bump, the car would either charge better or charge worse, or if you hit a hard enough bump, the car would go dead.
Yeah.
So,
There's no hard bumps out there at all.
No, it's very smooth out in the desert.
yeah.
Boone Road, very smooth.
Hey, I do want to say, thinking about looking at if the listeners, obviously follow Ultra for a little bit. I mean, you can go to the live tracker system that was being used, the whatever that website
Yellow
was.
Brick.
Yellow Brick.
YB.
YB, right. And you can kind of fast forward or you use that scroll bar and scroll through the race.
Yeah.
There was some. Dave Cole did a great job this year with the track, I think, or the course. I think that having that apex or nexus, if you will, of all the for the pit, remote. James was saying remote pit too, but I mean it was just remote pit this year because it was the only.
It was old remote pit too, but it was the only remote pit.
The only remote pit. But I mean, they passed by that pit like at least twice, 3 or 4 times, depending on which race you were talking about, whether it was EMC or Race of Kings. I think that was huge, I think, for simplifying the race, but also, simplifying the race as far as logistics go, but obviously complicating the race as far as the difficulty of the race.
No, exactly. I didn't hear any negatives about the course this year. I think everybody was excited about it. A lot of people finished in the dark, which we've always talked about would be great if it ever happened. All this stuff, it just kind of came together. I know, hearing from some people that Dave was limited on the desert that he could use this year. And it actually played into his favor and all of the racers' favors. I think it was solid. It actually was a true freaking, one day hardest off-road desert rock race. And and the results prove that. So very cool. Man, I know we're running long, but F it. If you want to shut off the podcast, you can. You can listen to it 3 days from now. But we're gonna keep rolling through this.
We are.
I do have to say, so I hooked up with Glenn Plake was on the lakebed with Les Figueroa, and of course his lovely wife Kimberly, and got to hang out with them at the their pit, and just a lot of fun. He's just a freaking character, but he's in his element, man. He's a gearhead. He loves working on stuff. And
The competitor.
they had broken a rear axle spindle, full floating axle spindle broke. So the axle's pretty much like gone. But they had ordered a part, and they did some lakebed engineering and got this thing together, and they actually finished the race. So that was very cool. He jumped in for the rock lap. He was in for the rock lap
Cool.
with Les, which is super cool. Wednesday, that same day, you and I, Chris, ended up sitting down with SXOR, Brandon Cole, and Sky Johnson.
That's correct.
In their Army military tent.
Badass.
That thing's crazy.
And it was right behind our camp.
It was right behind our camp. They've camped there the last couple of years in Upper Hammertown Heights, where Hammertown Heights estates. We're separated by a cyclone fence, so we can see each other. We just can't get to each other easily. Maybe not. Anyways, so super cool. And Brandon, we've had Cole and Sky on a couple times. And Brandon, their father, he's, I don't know. They said he was shy, but boy, that boy can talk. We had a long podcast, and
it's a runner.
That's coming up. That's going to be our next podcast that we're going to broadcast after this one. But there's some good stories there. A lot of racing history, and Brandon's the one that built my buggy
That's
originally.
correct.
So we get into a little bit more details on that, which was a lot of fun. So it's cool to watch their race program grow. Brandon's racing the military class because they're building all these military vehicles now. So they started this military class that had two entries, I should say, in this year's King of the Hammers. But watching Cole and Sky just freaking, hammer out. They're doing several races a year, Baja 1000. I mean, these kids are making it happen, and they're motivated, which is cool to see. So
absolutely. And that'll be episode, I think it's gonna be episode 299. We have an episode coming up between
you're right
between them and this.
Okay, so we're gonna push that one to 299. You're
correct.
Right.
So
that'll be doodaloo into the future.
In the future. But I mean, it's going to be an awesome episode. There's a shit ton of information. And I mean,
we give till it hurts here.
We give till it hurts. That's right. I mean, we take these opportunities to just get tons of content for our listeners, and we deliver, I think. So.
Yeah, and even as long as I was at the Hammers, I wish we got some more interviews. But I look back, I'm like, when did I have time? I mean, I could not go out and do the first lap, or I couldn't have go out to Ultra 3 or whatever. But it's like I want to have my fun too.
Well, but it's also part of that is planting seeds, and I mean, it's thinking about, I mean, looking at who we can, talk to in the future and get on the show is like the Gomez family, or, I mean, at this point, I'm going to try to reach out to Kyle Chaney, and I mean, it's the opportunities are limitless, so.
Yeah, no, absolutely. It's great. And the networking is unbelievable out there. And like I say, I'm just grateful to call a lot of these people that, I've watched over the years, call them my friends, and we're on a first name basis and get to just chat it up and have a whiskey, or they're coming into our camp. And I'm like, that's freaking cool.
Yeah, no doubt.
All right. So Thursday.
I'm gone. I drove home.
You drove home.
I know. I rolled out of camp about 8 a.m.
Lorenzo's shaking his head.
I drove the first leg from Hammertown to I-5, and bummer.
Well, we did, as you drove out of camp that morning, Lorenzo and I did open up the shade and waved at you as you went out of camp. And we sang the song, na 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 na. Hey, 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 day. Goodbye.
But I will say my camp spot was not vacant for very
No,
long.
it wasn't, man. You had a good camp spot. You were gone. Beep, beep, beep. Another camper pulled right in. Andrew pulled right in and took your spot.
Fuck, man. I
couple hours
texted him
later.
like, dude, what the hell? Did it even get cold?
No, it didn't even get cold. He was pissed that your holes didn't line up with his Ford pickup. So
A
he was
long
a
bed
little
versus
upset at
short
that,
bed.
but-
So there you go.
But other than that,
Well, you
I
almost
did.
had
I'm
some-
sad
that would
because
be pissed too.
I'm sad because I wanted to check out his new camper. That thing looks badass.
it's a nice camper, man. I didn't even look inside because I'm like, no, I can't afford this. I don't even want to look inside anymore. It's a nice camper.
Well, all your Bitcoin and Bitcoin investments aren't paying off anymore, or what?
No, it's not. So that morning after you left and I took a shower and I headed back down to the 40 and I met up with CJ down there because, CJ's part of the Bay Area Rivian Club, the
That's right.
all electric vehicle there. And Optima had their Optima Oasis set up down there. Big tent, hospitality tent. They had the hydrogen charger there, electric vehicle charger. Runs off of hydrogen. Clean energy.
So they had a big giant bomb on the
Dude, it was impressive. The doors were open on everything, and I poked my head in, and then the guy that runs the whole thing, he introduced himself, and he was kind of talking way above my head what was going on. I mean, I kind of got the gist of it, but holy hell, what an impressive operation. So it was the, Optima Unplugged. So they had, Rivians. There was, of course, Tesla
Cybertrucks,
cyber dumpsters,
Ford Lightnings.
Was there a Ford Lightning there? I didn't see.
I don't know.
There might have been. I don't know. It was cool though. So
Hummer EV or things, or
there might have been a Hummer. I don't know. I looked at some of the vehicles though. There was one of the Rivians that did the Dakar, and a Rivian that did the Rebel Rally. I talked to those ladies. That was cool. Anyways, so I was invited to go down there and give a little spiel. I introduced myself and the podcast, promoted the podcast, and a new venture that CJ and I are getting into, Sierra Nevada Off-Road Academy. So it was cool to get up on stage, quick 5 minutes. I talked about trail etiquette and like not losing the person behind you when you make a turn. Always keep the person behind you in the rearview mirror, and keep your head on a swivel out there because the desert at Johnson Valley is a wild place during that week of King of the Hammers.
You think?
Yeah. So it was cool. So it was nice to be invited to go up and talk to them. And before and after that, I was able to, like I say, shake some hands and meet some people. And it was good. It was a good morning start on a Thursday.
Shake babies and kiss hands.
Yeah, exactly. And then I don't know. What did I do the rest of the day? What did you do on Thursday, James?
Let's see here.
Because I went. I know I went back down to the pits and.
So you gotta leave town, and you guys don't even know what the fuck you did anymore.
Well, we were lost without you, Chris. Lorenzo was all bummed. He didn't even want to leave camp. It was a sad day.
You don't even know what the hell. So it was race day for the side by sides.
I know. So it was golf cart race day. Yeah.
It was golf.
It was golf cart race day.
Yeah.
So pretty much not a non-event.
Worked recovery.
Yeah, you were working. That was your final day working, right? So you worked Wednesday, Thursday. You didn't work Friday, did you?
I think James had already left camp when I left. He left camp before I left camp.
Yeah,
I didn't even get to say goodbye to you, man. You were gone.
No.
Yeah, it was up early, crack of dawn, headed out to back door, and had to kind of assess the racetrack area for where we're going to set up if we needed to write some people, but they had the bypass that day, so we ended up seeing more drivers on foot that day go up and down back door than we did for
What?
service.
Oh, that's
What?
funny.
So
You're doing it wrong.
yeah.
You're doing it wrong.
I believe both guys ran out of gas, and they had a long hike ahead of them
Wow.
on that run. So Bailey Cole was one, and my notes are failing me at this point because I do not remember who the other driver was. But yeah, so they hiked all the way in town, up and over that hill, and Hammertown got their mats and everything, so they were legal, I believe. Actually, I'm not sure on that one. And their gas, and hiked all the way back up, and yeah, it was impressive. Those guys really put into work to make a finish possible for them. I believe both cars that ran out of gas, they both finished, so that's pretty impressive. So,
yeah.
Wow.
Man. Yeah, I'm looking at my pictures from the 6. I spent a lot of time in Hammertown because they had tech and contingency that day for the EMC.
Yes.
So, and then I was hanging out in the Balmer tent freight factory, and yeah, just made my rounds. That was cool.
So yeah, Thursday was side-by-side day.
Yeah.
And then, yeah.
The golf day. Golf tournament day.
I mean, I arrived home like at, I believe, like 5 in the afternoon.
Yeah, you texted me. You made it home. So we had a little celebratory drink for you arriving at home safely.
Yeah, my son was a rock star. He took over driving on I-5 down there at Stockdale Highway. Man, I will say that Stockdale Highway improvement that's finally opened, driving from I-5 through Bakersfield, not having to drive through city streets anymore is great. And it works both ways. So you never leave the interstate until you get onto that 2-lane.
That's good.
From whatever 3 or 4 miles west of Bakersfield to all the way to I-5.
It's nice having a driver, huh?
For sure. So yeah, we filled up with that Chevron station, and then he took over driving, and we got on I-5, and I basically napped, and it started raining a little bit, and I kind of. I mean, the wind came up. I don't know if the W came up for you guys in Johnson Valley.
W, but not bad
on Thursday. But
it was never bad.
It was howling pretty good in Mojave, near Boron. We at one point we stopped in Boron to get fuel at that Love's, and I think I was getting 7 miles per gallon heading when I was drinking a lot of fuel. There was a hell of a headwind, that's for sure.
Yeah, man.
So
yeah, the joys. But at least you didn't have to go across country.
No, right, for sure.
You were home at a good hour. Get a few things unloaded and clean out the refrigerator, and then head in the house and relax.
Exactly, and then
get ready for Friday EMC.
Friday race day, baby.
So exciting. I mean, all the people we knew that were racing that day. And again, Saturday's my favorite morning, but I'll tell you, Friday's just as equally as fun.
Well, knowing all the people we know and, encouraging and cheering them on, it's super cool for sure. Yeah, so,
what they did this year, they kind of did it last year, but it was more organized this year. It seemed like, they lined up in Hammertown.
Yep.
And you could walk up and down all the cars, but then they filed in through the King Arch there, and then down the pit road, and then looped into the short course and lined up there. And then they did the national anthem. And, a lot of drivers had their helmets off and stuff, still just getting out to the short course. And then, after the national anthem, then it's game on. You got, strap in. They'd have one or two people from their pits helping them strap in and secure, get all their comms up and running and everything. And then they were instructed to get the F out of there. And, the race started shortly after that. But I was able both Friday and Saturday to walk that line in the short course, and fist pump and thumbs up for drivers there. And man, that was super cool.
Absolutely amazing. It's so fun to just see your friends down there getting, their game faces on, and some are really in that mode, and some are, keeping it light and just hanging out and chatting with their fellow racer, or whoever walks up. And it's just wild that you can get the opportunity to be able to do that. There's no other race in the world that you can do that at.
Yeah.
And quite frankly, that's my biggest regret for leaving on Thursdays, not being able to do that on Friday and Saturday. I mean, there's a level of energy and I don't even know what to call it. It's just it's super cool.
So we went back after all the cars left the start line. I went back to camp and then was watching the live feed, and as people were coming back in to Hammertown, run back down to Hammertown to see them in the pits, run back to camp, watch the live feed, and I'm like, okay, this is good. Follow our friends, and Amber was kicking ass, and we're like, holy hell, this is
kicking ass and taking names,
and
for
watching
sure.
this thing unfold. And we're just, our camp was electric. And so went down to the old fire pit there in front of the stage.
Mm-hmm.
I got down there about a half an hour, 45 minutes before she came in, and everybody was down there from our, camp, and the Hannah family and clan and friends and all that stuff. And Bomber Fab, a lot of bomber sweatshirts and t-shirts flying. It was a nice afternoon.
That's awesome.
Man, that was fucking cool watching her come in physically first, I should say, physically first,
right,
off the race course. I ran up to right after she crossed the finish line, and then made the left around the K-rail and came right in front of the monster. I don't know, you can't call that stage, the monster pavilion, if you will.
Yep.
Where they hand out the free monsters all week, and those monster girls that are there. So anyways,
They're hot girls that work for Monster, not Monster girls.
It was awesome. And just watching her, Amber and Tom Lou take off their helmets and just fired the fuck up, right? And Dave Cole comes over and congratulates them, and media's on them like crazy. Of course. And then escorting her up on stage and getting the interviews and all that stuff. So that was pretty cool. And then the waiting game started, right off the stage, and as more cars started coming in, and okay, they're testing. They deflated her passenger front tire to make sure she didn't have tire balls or anything illegal going on in the tires. So passed that test, aired her back up. Then they start, reviewing the yellow brick and VCPs, RCPs, all that stuff. So,
sure.
It was a fun electric afternoon. A lot of photos getting taken. The girls from the Jesse Combs Foundation, the scholarship winners, came over rocking the dots. They were handing out the handkerchiefs, the red polka dot handkerchiefs. And it was freaking cool, man. It was, Cinderella story. And of course, knowing, Randy and Amber well, and it was just extra special, I guess,
I'm sorry I missed it. That's for sure.
Yeah. But, but then it was, as it started to develop, it's like, okay, well, let's just make sure we hit all the RCPs, the VCPs, and unfortunately missed 3 of them.
Right.
And that incurred 45 minutes and pushed her to second place. But to finish on the podium, that was fucking awesome. So,
Oh, and I mean, in her first ever, I mean, not first ever, but in a 4,800 car to do what she did.
yeah,
I mean, she's done it 5 years prior in a Samurai,
Well, that's it. And that whole journey, right? And so we get to sit down with her the next episode here and Tom Liu and listen to their story. And it's freaking awesome, man. I'm just so stoked for her and her race program and how it's evolved. And, she raced that same car last year in the 4,400 because that was the car that won, the 4,800 last year overall.
Right.
EMC, and then she got to race it on 4,400 days. So for her to have all year to prep and get intimately familiar with that car,
practice.
Yeah, and she in the other. I'll just say one more thing, and then we got to move on. But she took this opportunity seriously. She wasn't just like, oh, okay, cool, I get to drive a bomber and, we'll see how it goes. I mean, she did her homework. She prepped the shit out of that car. She was researching stuff. She was, the night that we were over at the bomber hangar for the pre-party, the KOH, live pre-show. She's taken notes intimately, she did her homework and she didn't take this opportunity lightly, and she capitalized on it, and that was
awesome.
cool to see. That was cool to see.
No, I mean, and we've seen that over and over and over again. As the people we've talked to, whether it's Randy, Amber, Arturo, Kevin Jones, Chris Ray, to be successful in this venue, you need to be prepared. And the only way to prepare is to research, study, and, to have your shit together. You dot your I's and cross your T's, make sure you're ready to go.
Serious, money. I mean, it's not the safest thing to do on a, Friday day. There's a level of seriousness, but there's different levels, and she took it to the nth degree, which was great.
And it showed. So super cool.
So that was awesome. Awesome to watch. Unfortunately, some of our other podcast interviewees, friends of the podcast, Wheeling Wine and Whiskey, did not have such a great day. But nonetheless, they were out there fighting tooth and nail and making it happen. So, yeah. It's...
Well, let's do the EMC results.
793 reason number 793 wide.
Right. Well, let's give out the EMC results.
Go ahead,
and then we'll talk about the race of kings.
The fofo.
The
4400.
4400. I got to get closer to the screen. This is blurry now. All right, I'll just do the. We have some friends of the show, so
hit the highlights.
So Justin Hall, unfortunately, DNF'd in his.
He lost reverse again.
He lost reverse in his transmission, which sucks. But then you look at in the top 10, you got Dylan Summers, number 10, Scott Farley, number 9, Jeff Marlin, number 8, Woody Rose, car number 22, came in 7th.
Woody put on a clinic that day as well.
He did. He cool ran well.
He's definitely in the hunt every freaking race.
Oh, no doubt. He's going to be on the podium again soon. So, and then Jacob Pacheco, number 6, Brent Harrell, number 5.
Yep.
Jeremy Jones, number 4.
Yep.
Cam Steele, number 3, car number 16. Then Amber Slauson, number 2. Woohoo, Amber.
Number 70.
And then number 70, that's correct. And then Cody.
Number 70. I got to ask her that.
Yeah, we should ask her that. And then Cody Young, it came in first overall.
Yeah.
So, yep.
Physically finished second.
Hey, it's a time adjusted race.
No, but that's just, I'm just making a note. But it was cool. They pulled in behind, and I was talking to them, and it's so cool with this finish line.
So moving on to the stock class, because of course on EMC you have 3 classes running 4,500.
Was there any of the other friends of the podcast that finished the race?
Look,
that you noticed, that you recognize? I'm not looking at the list right now. Lorenzo did not give me. You didn't print me out a list. No, I told you to. Really?
Okay. I'm missing somebody.
There's the hoof.
Yeah, be that way.
I don't see anybody else that I
Okay, nobody else.
Like I said, we mentioned Justin Hawley, DNF. Oh, my bad. Megan Miller.
No, DNF.
Wait, what the hell? No, she DNF'd.
Yeah.
But that was she wasn't in the 4,800.
No, 40.
So anyway, then we move on to the 4,600 stock class, and you've got top 10 again. Zach Forsberg, number 10. Kendall Klein's number 9. Jason Loke, number 8. Lauren Healy, number 7, of course, in a Bronco. And John Rance, number 6.
John Rance.
Jesse Bennett, number 5, 5th place. Sergio Pinillos, 4th. John Williams, 3rd. Bailey Cole in another Bronco, 2nd place. And Brad Lovell, 1st place.
Brad Lovell. So 2 Broncos there. They always battle it out.
Absolutely. So, and then of course, so that's 4,600. And then the military class, Brandon Johnson, the 101.
Nice.
So yeah, that's EMC right there. So those are the results for EMC. And then of course, moving on to Saturday, Race at Kings Day. Again, I'm not on the lake bed, which sucked. So what did you do on race day? Did you go down and smell all the race gas fumes?
I did. So same thing, down early. It was a windy, kind of windy night morning. And I'm like, oh crap. It wasn't crazy wind, and it was cool, but not super cool. I was like, okay, this isn't bad. When I got out of my camper, I was expecting worse. It was perfect conditions for a race day, right? Enough wind to blow the dust, and cool to keep the drivers cool, in those hot ass cars and wearing all the protective gear.
Did you get any rain from that rain on Thursday at all that I drove through?
Negative, Ghost Rider.
Nothing,
negative.
Huh?
No.
Wow.
But it was, yeah. And so, when I was walking down that line and talking to people, and of course, Randy and Amber were there, and I used Amber's line. I go, you know what, Randy, today's a good day to have a great day. Amber's like, yes. And he goes, yeah, the weather's perfect. And so, yeah, that was cool. Walked down the line, saw Justin Wicks, and Eric Wicks was there getting them all strapped in, tightened down. And, everybody's got their game face on, and it's funny at different levels. I know if I was behind the wheel or in the race car, I wouldn't be as jokey, fun Jason as I would be around the campfire that night. So I'd be nervous. I'd be like just focused and like, don't fucking talk to me. Okay, give me a thumbs up and walk.
Leave me the fuck alone.
Yeah,
fuck off.
You're just, things are going through your mind, whatever. But it's funny, so you can tell. I can read the room if somebody's like, all right, cool, I see a thumbs up, move on. Or like, yeah, okay, I'll do a fist bump, or or I'll chat it up with you for a second. So it was cool. So they go off the line. I watch every car go off the line. I head back to camp, and it's chilly willy. Fixed breakfast. We had a killer breakfast that morning. Again, we did some killer breakfast in the morning. James and I, and I don't know, there was 6, 8 of us eating breakfast that morning.
Yep.
Tom Rosa had left at that point, right?
Rosa was gone. He fixed some omelets for us one morning. That was awesome.
Oh, that was super. I was there for that. That was great.
We had corned beef hash that James's lovely wife Rhonda made for us. So, and then I made my machaca a couple mornings. In fact, I finished off the machaca that Saturday morning.
That was some good stuff.
So fucking good. So we had that, the Campbell's recipe machaca. But I'm like, dude, I'm setting up the Wheel Wine and Whiskey trailer to watch this show. So I put up the big screen at the back of the trailer, the projector, had the Sonos speaker going, had the heater going, and we sat in there and freaking just partied and had a good time watching this race. And people were coming in and out, and it was like, you open the door, it's a big freaking 4-foot door, so all this light comes in and you can't see the screen well. It's all shut the door, in or out. But it was cool. Austin from Irate, he came in a few days earlier with his buddy Dave, and so he came in and sat in there for a while, and we were chopping it up, having a good time. Of course, some libations were flowing, and it was a lot of fun. Towards the end of the race, when Justin Wicks was doing really well, and James and I were in there, a few people, and getting pissed. What happened, James?
Oh, it was just it seemed like if you weren't sponsored or one of the big dogs, they were not showing.
You didn't get much airtime.
You did not get much airtime, and there's nothing better to see one of your closest people that you're rooting for, friends, that are now your family, and to see him not on the screen, because I think at one point he was really flirting with third.
Yeah, he was. He was flirting with third place,
and every time they'd go back to golf cart, or some guy in 15th place, or another guy who's broken and out of the race, and so it turned into there was a lot of empty water bottles and cans, and
we were throwing them at the screen, the cloth screen.
Yeah, we had a lot of ammo, and there was a lot of bottles bouncing off of that.
It was so funny.
Screen. So just a friendly reminder, Jesse, if you don't want to break your TV, use cloth.
Yeah, we were throwing it at there, and I'm like, oh, this is perfect. You can't break the screen. But it was good. I mean, the Starlink worked great. I mean, it only I think there was only 2 times that it kind of refreshed.
Yeah, a couple times.
But the sound quality was awesome. Everything, and the in-car footage and all that stuff was really cool. But yeah, Justin ultimately ended up finishing 8th, which was fucking phenomenal. I'm so happy for them. They made a little wrong turn, cost them a little time, but still to finish in the top 10, and even to finish that race, because the attrition rate was so high.
Lap 3 was brutal.
Yeah.
And how resourceful they were. I mean, I guess their GPS took a dump on them, so they literally had to bust out the phones and use their phones to navigate the rest of the race. So that was pretty wild that they were able to pull that off.
Yeah. Cool. So yeah, we had a party going on all day. It was great, and before Justin came in, because we were getting bits and pieces on the live feed, and of course I was watching the YB tracker to see where they're at. I'd been texting with Ian Johnson all week. We've been trying to connect. Of course, I see him up on stage, but couldn't talk to him. And, I was trying to catch him on his breaks, and we just couldn't connect. And then finally he texted me and he goes, "Where are you at? Are you at camp?" And I go, "Yeah, I am." He goes, "Okay, I'm coming up." And I'm like, "All right, cool." So I didn't say anything to anybody. And then frickin' here comes Ian knocking on the door and hops into the Wheeling Wine and Whiskey camper there. Remote studio.
I'm sorry I missed him, man.
Yeah.
I was texting with him back and forth during the week trying to get connected with him. Obviously, he was busy. And
yeah. And so he came in, and we did a little whiskey sampling. Had to have him try a couple different whiskeys, and of course, he's always got some good stories to tell and stuff. And so that was cool that he made the effort to come up to camp and visit. And I thought he was done. I literally thought he was done for the night. And he goes, "All right, I got to go. I got to go back on stage." I go, "What?" So So he did. He
That's
hauled ass back
crazy.
down to the stage and was back on the live feed. So that was awesome. And then we were watching Justin, and then okay, Justin's coming in, so we ran back down to the fire pit and welcome Justin into Hammertown and his dad Chris. So that was freaking exciting to have them, like I say, come in 8th place.
Super cool. I mean, a Race of the Kings this year. I mean, obviously, somewhat. I don't know if I'd use the word, but I'm going to use it anyway. Controversial, but nonetheless, I mean, it's to see who won the
because
race.
the golf cart won.
Yeah, golf cart won, but I mean, it's a golf cart in spirit to some degree. I mean, it's a fully custom built chassis with a golf cart drivetrain, but I mean, we all have memories or remember the other, I wouldn't say teammate, but the other Can-Am that literally broke in half on the trail. And I was sitting there watching the race at work, taking a break from work, watching on my computer. And I'm like, boy, that front end looks a little weird. What's going on there?
Wobbly.
And then like a couple minutes later, the car literally broke in half, and they went to the in-car feed, and the driver and co-dog are like fist pumping, and I'm like, they're happy the car broke in half. I'm like,
well, it was hilarious watching the in-car, and they have electric steering, and the steering wheel's literally going around,
just
and around because it has no clue that it detached from the front.
It's left the chat,
but hey. For their credit, they winched that and ratchet strapped that motherfucker together, and they didn't finish the course, but they made it back to Hammertown under their own power. So
exactly.
Kudos to them. And, and then the whole golf cart thing winning, of course, I had some fun text streams with some key people, but we made our jokes, but, it's interesting. There's so many different, and we've talked about so many different things on this podcast. What is the recipe? There is no, perfect recipe, right? And luck is a big thing.
Of course.
The car's lightweight. Yes, it's an aftermarket, chassis, and it still has the drivetrain of a Can-Am and all that stuff. But I mean, they're super capable vehicles. I mean, I'm amazed at what the stupid things mine does. Right out of the box. I know Randy was amazed, his bone stock off the showroom floor, coming out here and racing around the deserts of northern Nevada. I mean, there's something there, but give me a freaking bomber, give me a purpose built car for a race like that. But it's interesting to see, and you look. I mean, Blyler was right there, Gomez was right there. And if a stupid little mechanical didn't take him out or getting stuck, breaking this, that, they would have been there. So it really comes down to that luck factor. And
sure.
you got to be a wheelman. You got to be a driver. I don't want to discount it at all. They finished first and they made it happen, and they, hit their VCPs and RCPs and all that stuff this time. But it definitely shakes it up a little bit. It shakes it up, and it's
hats off to Kyle Cheney and Terry Maddern for driver and co-dog for making it happen and coming in first and podium and winning and being the latest and greatest champion.
So give us the top 10.
Well, the top 10?
Yep.
Wow, you just cut me off.
No, I didn't cut you off, did I?
I think that's Jason's way of trying to end the podcast.
Oh, see this. Oh, now welcome to me being Chris.
Wow. All right. Well, let me blow this up a little bit because the screen is small. All right, number 10. Well, we got to kind of look back and see. We got a few people here in the Rusty Blyler 32. I mean, let me skip the DNFs. Let's see here. Eric Miller came in 25th. Mike Slauson came in 22nd.
And he was racing the car for Craig from Pella Motorsports.
Correct.
that Randy built for him that I got to ride in. That I will never ride in again. But anyways, no. But that was that car that Randy's brother Mike was racing, which is super cool.
Absolutely. And then number 9 and 19th place was Dan Fresh in the Laser Nut car, so that's cool.
So that is notable that the Laser Nut car finished. That was huge.
Absolutely, because it
got to finish.
It's got to finish. I mean, it's a spaceship, and it's got a lot of tech.
Spaceship, yeah.
So it's super cool that happened. And then Raul Gomez came in 11th place.
Okay.
Justin Wicks, we mentioned him just a bit ago, and he came in 8th. Cody so let's see here. So let's go back.
Cody Addington was in the top 10 as well. He's a local boy here. We're going to have him on the podcast. We got to make that happen.
So we'll go back to the top 10, like you mentioned.
Top 10. Here we go.
Jonathan Dawes, car 4417, came in 10th place. Joe Gatlin, car 4570, came in 9th. Justin Wicks, car 792, 8th place. Super cool. Chris, hey, Justin, I'm proud of you, man. That's awesome.
Yeah, that's fucking
the whole Wicks family
we need to do a follow-up
racing
with
team
him as well.
For sure. Chris Branton came in 7th. Chad Hunt, 6th place. Cody Addington came in 5th. That's awesome for him.
That's fucking great.
Yeah, no, he's
local boy does good.
That dude is hungry as all get out, man.
It's the old Red Dragon, man.
Exactly. So, and then Robbie Gordon came in 4th.
Yep.
3rd place, Brian Caprera.
Mm-hmm. Bomber.
JP Gomez, 2nd place. Just nipping at Kyle Cheney's heels. And Kyle Cheney, like I just said, 1st place in a freaking Can-Am, a side-by-side.
A freaking Can-Am golf cart.
I mean, it's a golf cart in name, but
it's a $250,000 golf cart.
Exactly. Yes. So I'm in the pursuit of getting Kyle on the show. Kyle, if you listen to the show, respond to my DMs, eh?
He doesn't listen. We bash on golf carts and Toyotas, so they don't listen.
Right. So
all right.
Anyway,
let's put a bow on this freaking thing.
That's a long episode, man. We covered a lot of ground.
We did. Sunday. I'm going to wrap this thing up here. I cut the armbands off when I woke up that morning. I had like 4 freaking armbands. I couldn't wait to get those things off. It was packing day for me. It was nice day. Dave Ainsworth and I just chilled, and he packed up a lot of stuff in the morning. I went over and talked to Aaron from Smith Off-Road and Kevin Jones as they were packing up. And I'm like, dude, let's do a podcast. And Aaron's like, dude, I'm tired. I got to go. He goes, I'm going to leave. I go, dude, have you seen Boone Road? And he's like, yeah, no, we're cool. All right, good luck, players. He takes off. I'm still bullshitting with Kevin Jones. 15 minutes later, he comes back to camp. Yeah, I ain't going anywhere.
No.
I'm like, well, let's record. He's like, oh man, I don't know. And then now he wants to record. I'm like, you had your opportunity. Sorry, not sorry. So then got everything packed up. And I told Dave, I go, dude, I want to walk up to the Bronco Arch. You know, it's kind of like Las Vegas. You know, you see the Mirage Hotel or the MGM Grand or whatever. You're like, it's right there. And I said, I know it's going to be a little bit of a hike, but let's go. And so we hiked up there with a beverage, and we stood up there as the sun, you know, was late afternoon, almost sunset. But I wanted to see them dismantling the short course, and I did that live feed from up there.
Yeah,
and it's just crazy. I mean, within hours, dude, Hammertown was damn near gone.
Dude, we saw that a couple of years ago, and you and I
know
on the bug. It's like
it's fun to watch, though.
It's like the place clears out like nobody's business. It's crazy.
Yeah, I mean, tents were down, you know, all this stuff, and you know, the short course was almost back to, you know, natural desert.
Well, they had a specific deadline this year because
they did. They only had till like Wednesday at midnight or something stupid. Yeah. It was super quick. but they were on it and making it happen. So it was cool to watch that. Walk back down to camp. We made dinner and hung out. Had a really good campfire that night. Stonehenge campfire with Dolly and Eric and anybody that was left around. So it was good. It was a good homecoming. So I was like, yeah, it was freaking awesome. So, anyways, I said, okay, we're putting a bow on this thing, and woke up the next morning, and we got on the road at an early hour. Eric and Dolly were in front of me. They left like 10 minutes in front of me. I went over to Jack. He's got the big ass Tiffin motorhome, and he goes, hey, you heading out? And he goes, I want to follow you, pick a good line out of camp. So I'm like, okay, no problem.
Good line.
So he followed me all the way out Boone Road, and there was people, but it was moving, as fast as we could go is what it was moving, because of fucking Boone Road.
Fucking Boone Road.
Well, again, I think the section from gate 1 all the way to the main gate was brutal, but
the rain and snow did no favors to Boone Road. But it is what it is. But it took 20-25 minutes to get out to pavement. It didn't take 6 hours, so I was like, whatever. Smooth travels home. It was nice. Didn't hit any weather. A little bit of headwind a couple times going through the Sierras, but it was great. And I got home in a decent hour, with plenty of time to unpack the camper and unload the refrigerator and all that stuff, and got a majority of the stuff unhooked and a good jump on cleaning. And then the next day was all day cleaning. But anyways, what a freaking trip. It was awesome. One other thing I got to say is 7 p.m. on the dot every night, like a couple camps over from us, put on the best fucking fireworks show I've ever seen.
Crazy.
I cannot believe I wanted to go into their camp and see it. It had to be professional shit because there was multiple mortars going off at a time. It wasn't just one. It was freaking multiple.
Had to be coordinated, computer,
and it was like a 5-8 minute show every night.
Yeah.
Oh, I've seen cities that don't have fireworks shows like that.
It put Disneyland to shame. So, hats off to whoever that was. If you listen to the podcast, please get in contact with me. But they literally lit off, $10,000-$15,000 worth of fireworks every night.
And
it was
I was
stupid.
Gonna say, it was every night. It was the best quality show you've seen.
I was pretty proud of the ones coming out of our camp, but these were impressive. All right, let's wrap this thing up. James, what's your highlight of King of the Hammers? The one highlight. Don't give me 10, just give me one. Go.
You're going to get 10. For me, it's everybody down there. It's, getting to camp, seeing all of our close friends, the gang, getting to see all of our friends that, we only get to see once a year. It seems like, Kevin Jones, Ultra 4 Escort Chris, Megan Miller, just everybody, Slauson. The list goes on and on and on, but it's the people and it's the environment of the race environment. Ian Johnson, shout out to him again too. Fun getting to hang out. So it was just seeing everybody and having a hell of a time.
And nice having your buggy down there this year.
Yeah, the buggy was it worked awesome. I mean, hell to pay was gnarly. Loved every minute of it. Wouldn't give it 5 stars. Definitely would not recommend for everybody.
5 stars would not recommend. But, 0 stars would not recommend hell to pay.
Yeah. So anyway, just great time to actually get out and see the trails and actually see most of King of the Hammers area. I mean, I didn't get to run a ton of trails, but made it a lot further than
quality over quantity.
Past. Yeah, exactly. So. Again, amazing time, friends. The
hardest trails in California.
Hardest trails, yeah. Definitely would recommend.
Chris, what was your highlight? that was like highlights. But what was your highlight?
It was, you know what? I mean, just reconnecting with a lot of people, but also having my son Craig down there with me was special. You know,
And as
it was,
a driver,
was good.
I mean, God, that's awesome. I'm jealous.
Yeah. So
That's cool. No, it was. I'm glad you made it down, and it was cool seeing Craig down there and having a good time. And man, the weather was great. We couldn't ask for really better weather. I was prepared for dust, and I had so many buffs and goggles and everything ready for dust storms. And thank God that rain and snow came in, and we never got the big W down there. So
no, I mean, there was one morning where we had a couple of gusts and that kind of shook the camper a little bit.
Camper a little.
But that was it. I mean, it was like not to, you know, we're not there anymore, so it doesn't matter. But I mean, there were some warm ass days. We were slathering on the sunscreen most days. It was
I put on shorts 4 days.
Yeah,
my white legs came out.
It was crazy. So, you know, knock on wood, that was one of the best parts of the trip. But also having my son there was great.
That's cool. That's cool. All right.
What
is
Jason? What
thank you for asking. I was waiting. Fucking teed it up, and I was waiting. Lorenzo
I'm sorry, my bad. I drank a whole bottle.
No, that's okay. That's okay. I'm just here for the fun and the whiskey. Highlight for me was seeing Amber finish physically first, and Justin Wicks finish 8th on 4400 day. 4400 day. Yeah. I mean, there's so many great things. Everything you guys said about the camaraderie and hanging out and, you know, people coming to our camp, fucking awesome. It's all good. Ultra 3 night, going to ride the ATCs and all that. But, you know, for me, what really just was super cool to watch was Amber crossing that physical first, and Justin, the Wicks family, getting to celebrate a top 10 win. Next year, Eric Wicks, let's see this new car and him get across that freaking line and on the podium too. So
podium.
Yeah, good stuff. Never disappointing. Long KOH recap, but there was just too much shit. I'm sure we missed some stuff.
We missed a ton.
My God, so much fun. Thank you, James, for being here and adding your insight for being down in the desert. Chris and I. It's our big event of the year.
Absolutely.
Thanks again for having me on, guys. Absolutely amazing time as always, and thanks again.
And if you listen to this episode all in one shot, you must be on one hell of a road trip. So, Chris, with that,
we're out.